A man followed behind another man who looked like his assistant. The assistant was carrying a black briefcase. The two were led in by the security guard. Clearly, this was the lawyer Qiao Ying had mentioned. Who is this? Feng Teng was able to reach his current position by being shrewd. He could tell at a glance that the other party was no ordinary person. The habits of the political arena reflexively manifested, and he strode forward with both hands outstretched to greet Cheng Jinyan. Jinyan Law Firm, Cheng Jinyan. Cheng Jinyan politely shook Feng Teng's hand. His gaze met Qiao Ying's, and in that moment he confirmed her identity. This student's commissioned lawyer. Jinyan Law Firm? Cheng Jinyan? Feng Teng's eyes widened in surprise. How could he not be familiar with this figure? Someone had once deliberately sabotaged him, causing him to become embroiled in a public opinion crisis. At the time, he had relied on connections and money in an attempt to hire Cheng Jinyan to fight his lawsuit. After making considerable effort, he finally obtained Cheng Jinyan's contact information, but didn't even get to meet him before Cheng Jinyan directly rejected the case for being too trivial. Yet this legal expert, whom even money could not sway, had now appeared before him as Qiao Ying's commissioned lawyer. Cheating on an exam, was this case really that major? Feng Teng did not understand. Even if the Qin family had commissioned him, there was no way he would come in person, right? But before he could make sense of it, Cheng Jinyan had already walked over to Qiao Ying. How may I address you? Qiao Ying. Cheng Jinyan nodded. Miss Qiao, I hope I'm not too late. Qiao Ying. A bit, but it doesn't matter. Seeing a familiar face, Qiao Ying instinctively responded to Cheng Jinyan casually, having completely forgotten that she was Qiao Ying right now, not Blood Shadow. Fortunately, Cheng Jinyan didn't say anything, only taking Qiao Ying's bluntness as part of her personality. All right, please leave the rest to me. Qiao Ying actually called a lawyer. Dealing with Feng Teng alone had already left the principal and all the other leaders at a loss. They had barely managed to handle Feng Teng, and now a lawyer showed up. The math teacher's endurance had reached its limit, but the most flustered person right now wasn't the math teacher. It was the principal. It was actually Cheng Jinyan from Jinyan Law Firm. The principal was utterly dumbfounded now. He felt that, like the math teacher, he would have to retire early. With Cheng Jinyan fighting lawsuits, not to mention the opposing counsel, even if he went all out against another lawyer, he could probably get them disbarred. The principal even felt that when he woke up tomorrow morning, the number 7 middle school that he had painstakingly managed for over 20 years would be gone. This time, he was truly afraid. And that wasn't the end of it. Before the principal could catch his breath, the police arrived as well. Seeing the room full of people on Qiao Ying's side, despite the warm weather in early May, the principal broke out in a cold sweat. The principal stopped struggling. As the principal, he directly lowered himself to plead with his own student, explaining things rationally and appealing to her emotions. He was this close to bursting into tears and telling Qiao Ying and Feng Teng about how difficult his journey had been thus far. The other school leaders quickly followed suit, and for a time the only sounds that could be heard in the principal's office were their intermittent pleading, a completely different scene from the encirclement of Qiao Ying just over half an hour ago. Even with psychological preparation, seeing this kind of situation in person still tested Cheng Jinyan's professional capabilities, having experienced all kinds of storms. He hadn't even considered that one day he would come to a school to fight a cheating lawsuit for a student. What would his colleagues say when they found out? Based on the expression of his assistant, he could probably guess. Cheng Jinyan cried and laughed internally. Please stay away from my client. Cheng Jinyan conscientiously shielded Qiao Ying behind him. Those who have always harmed the school's interests are not the so-called failing students in your eyes, but you parasites lacking any sense of right and wrong. Teaching? You are simply misleading the younger generation. Having said that, Qiao Ying directly told Cheng Jinyan, Lawyer Cheng, proceed normally through official channels. I will staunchly defend my rights and interests. Education has always been our country's top priority. Based on today's matter, I really doubt whether you all can educate the children well and lead them onto the correct path. I'm going to the Bureau of Education right now. Fang Li, you all just wait to bear the consequences of your actions. Feng Teng's impassioned speech was most dignified. The principal's face was ashen. Before returning to class, Qiao Ying spoke privately with Cheng Jinyan for a while. Although you should proceed through normal channels, Lawyer Cheng, if you really make me go to court, I might have to doubt your professional capabilities. Qiao Ying had no desire to go to court over such trivial matters with such worthless people. She, Blood Shadow, what kinds of people did she not dare to kill? What deeds did she not dare to do? What buildings did she not dare to blow up? Having an assassin like herself arguing for herself in court, she truly felt it was inappropriate. Then I would have to doubt my own professional capabilities as well. Cheng Jinyan was not a humorous person, especially with unfamiliar people, but for some reason, the girl before him gave him a feeling of seeming familiarity. Qiao Ying's mouth curved up slightly. Then I'll leave it to you, Lawyer Cheng. I'll transfer your legal fees to your account shortly. Cheng Jinyan stopped her. Since you're Yi Sai's friend, how could I accept that money? Qiao Ying, let's keep things separate. I'm not accustomed to owing favors. Cheng Jinyan nodded slightly without saying anything more. He figured that a friend of Ye Sai would not lack that amount of money anyway, so there was no point in pushing back and forth. Miss Qiao, you resemble a friend of mine very much. Qiao Ying was silent, but made a habitual raising of her brow. Her movement was almost imperceptible, but Cheng Jinyan noticed. Looking at Qiao Ying's eyes and brows, he said, truly very similar. She was around your age, also a girl. She was very beautiful and also very strong. It's just a pity. It was just a pity that someone so powerful would meet such an end without even her bones remaining. Looking at Qiao Ying before him, who resembled Blood Shadow in every way, yet gave him an inexplicable sense of familiarity with Blood Shadow, especially in her eyes, Cheng Jinyan felt it must be fate. Although Blood Shadow had died, a girl who looked just like her had appeared, which could be considered a consolation to him and Ye Sai. Rash actions? Was that Yi Sai guy planning on fighting to the death with Dark Shadow for her sake? Qiao Ying thought to herself. At that time, Feng Teng came out and bid Qiao Ying farewell first, then shook Cheng Jinyan's hand again, shamelessly asking for one of Cheng Jinyan's business cards and treasuring it as he put it in his pocket. Then he said to Qiao Ying, Miss Qiao, I came under Mr. Qin's orders. I hope my sudden arrival did not startle you. Mr. Qin, Cheng Jinyan looked at Qiao Ying in slight surprise. Someone who could make the mayor himself act so servile. There was probably only that Mr. Qin, from the Qin family, in the capital city. Qiao Ying had guessed it would be something like this. It was just that she hadn't guessed that this Mr. Qin was not Qin Yukin, but Qin Hanyue. Things had come to this point. So Qiao Ying decided not to make things difficult and smiled at Feng Teng, who was beaming at her like a sunflower. Thank you, Mayor Feng, for taking the time to come here. You're too kind, it's my duty. Feng Teng was even happier than if he had won millions in the lottery. In order to keep an eye on Qiao Ying at all times, Feng Teng had arranged for people at the school to report any movements to him immediately. So far, the results had been remarkable. Miss Qiao, if you encounter any problems in the future, feel free to come to me. Please don't stand on ceremony with me. Feng Teng successfully handed Qiao Ying his business card. You're also welcome to visit my home anytime. Zhu Mingchen, the school's heartthrob, was on his way to the teacher's office to pick up some materials when he ran into Feng Teng, coming down the stairs on his way out of the school. Uncle Feng. Zhu Mingchen's father was the deputy mayor. The two families had always been on good terms, so Zhu Mingchen had always respected Feng Teng. However, the children of the two families, Zhu Mingchen and Feng Wenzhong, could not stand each other. Mingchen! Feng Teng was in an exceptionally good mood and laughed as he walked over and patted Zhu Mingchen on the shoulder. Uncle Feng, what brings you to my school? Are you here on an inspection? Zhu Mingchen was curious about what had put him in such high spirits. Yes, work. Oh, I remember you're also a third-year student. Do you happen to know? Feng Teng stopped mid-sentence as a thought occurred to him. Zhu Mingchen, know who? Oh, no one. It's nothing. Feng Teng had wanted to ask Xu Mingchen to look after Chao Ying for him. They were the same age and classmates, and Xu Mingchen was outstanding, so Chao Ying would definitely be happy. Then Xu Mingchen could get close to Chao Ying, and he would go from being the mayor to the deputy mayor. He was too excited and muddled to think straight. Feng Teng thought to himself, that was close. I almost ruined my own future prospects. Feng Teng suddenly remembered he had a son, although useless, with poor grades, bad temper, incompetent in every way. But if he could win Qiao Ying's favor, he would be set. At this time, Feng Teng still didn't know that his incompetent son, at Huo Chengdong's command, was looking for Chao Ying at 7th Middle School. Never mind. I have to get to the Education Bureau. Keep studying hard. Su Mingchen watched Feng Teng chatting and laughing with his assistant, completely confused. At that moment, the school broadcast sounded, "Dear students, this is your principal Fang Li. I'm here to clarify something." The teachers immediately quieted the students down to listen to the broadcast. Qiao Ying, a third-year student in Class 8, received a perfect score on her math exam yesterday, but was wrongly accused of cheating by her math teacher. After investigation, it has been verified that Qiao Ying was falsely accused. Her score has been corrected to 150 points. On behalf of myself and the school, I solemnly apologize to student Qiao Ying. Su Mingchen stopped in his tracks and looked toward the broadcast room. After the principal's apology, the math teacher spoke. "I am Chao Ying's math teacher, Chen." After the math teacher ran out chasing Chao Ying, the students in Class 8 were left unattended. They all craned their necks, listening to the commotion outside. They wanted to see what a bloody mess Chao Ying would look like after being berated. But after waiting a whole class, Chao Ying had not come back looking ashamed, and the math teacher's whereabouts were unknown. Instead, they heard from students of other classes that several school leaders had gone to the principal's office for some kind of meeting. They guessed it must have been about Qiao Ying's cheating. They couldn't help but admire Qiao Ying's guts for actually going to the principal's office, even if she ended up suspended or faced even more severe consequences. Just having the courage for that moment was enough to gain their admiration. So when the principal's apology was broadcasted, not a single one of the 50-plus students didn't drop their jaws in shock, and all doubted whether their ears were working properly. After a brief, bizarre silence, the class erupted in chaos, at one point uncontrollable. The teacher's tapping on the podium was drowned out by the heated discussion. Holy crap, can someone tell me what Qiao Ying did? Qiao Ying is awesome. Old Fang is usually so harsh, yet she got him to personally apologize to her in front of the entire school. This is absolutely unprecedented in history. It should be recorded in our family lineage to glorify our ancestors. Does anyone know what went down in the principal's office over the last few dozen minutes? I'm willing to pay a month's worth of breakfast money to hear the gossip. How did she pull it off? Qiao Ying scored 150 points. Haha. This is definitely the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. In addition to the timid Qiao Ying brazenly going to the principal's office, and ultimately making the principal and teacher apologize, which was as shocking as idiocy, the claim that the infamous school dummy Qiao Ying scored a perfect 150 was equally unbelievable. She got 150 points? I heard Chao Lingling from the class next door say she finished the exam and left in under 20 minutes. Can someone explain to me how she could complete the entire test and get a perfect score in just over 20 minutes? Even copying the answers directly wouldn't be that fast. The principal said it was verified after investigation. What kind of investigative method was that? Did they check the surveillance footage? Not sure, but I just saw the police show up, so can Qiao Ying tell me how to perfectly cheat while evading monitoring and the police? This failing student urgently needs to know. Having been classmates with Qiao Ying for almost 3 years, Qiao Ying's intellect tells me it's impossible for her to score 150. But the principal and math teacher's statements in person, along with the police who just left, tell me she did in fact get 150. The only possible explanation is that this is a supernatural event. That's impossible. How could Chao Ying's pig brain possibly get a perfect score? Chao Lingling was the most agitated. when she learned that Qiao Ying had not only talked back to the teacher for cheating, but also went to the principal's office to kick up a fuss. The long-suppressed Chao Lingling felt a sense of vengeance, keeping her in a state of excitement. So when she heard the broadcast, she immediately lost control of her emotions. Coming to her senses, she found the whole class looking at her while the teacher frowned. Qiao Lingling instantly turned red from her face to her neck. She hurriedly lowered her head and sat down. Never having lost face like this before, she just wanted to crawl into a hole. Qiao Ying. Qiao Lingling gnashed her teeth, wishing she could chew Qiao Ying up into pieces. She clearly blamed everything on Qiao Ying. Xu Mingchen was about to return to class with the materials the teacher asked for, but saw Qiao Ying standing downstairs talking to a refined, distinguished-looking businessman. The two were chatting happily, and the mature gentleman even handed something to her. Standing on the stairs, Xu Mingchen looked at Qiao Ying's back facing him, standing casually with her hands in her pockets. His first thought was that Qiao Ying seemed different from before, but thinking of the recent broadcast, he couldn't help feeling aversion. Like everyone else, Xu Mingchen absolutely did not believe the school dummy known as Qiao Ying could get a perfect score. He also didn't know what method she had used to evade both the monitoring and proctors. Cheng Jinyan said, "I hope we meet again." Qiao Ying, "We will." Qiao Ying spoke with great certainty. It was unclear whether this was just her manner of speech or meant something more. Cheng Jinyan didn't think too deeply about it. Instead, he said half-jokingly, "Then I hope the next time we meet will be a cheerful and comfortable occasion." Qiao Ying smiled and said, "Don't worry, it definitely won't be like today." If Cheng Jinyan were to take on another lawsuit that embarrassed his professional capabilities like this again, even chanting the 8 immortals every night wouldn't help. Just then, Cheng Jinyan noticed Xu Mingchen standing on the stairs. He said to Qiao Ying, "That seems to be your classmate." He saw that Xu Mingchen had been staring at them the whole time, or rather, staring at Qiao Ying. Qiao Ying had noticed someone behind her early on, but didn't pay any attention. When she heard what Cheng Jinyan said, she reflexively looked back. In just 1 second, she retracted her gaze. "I don't know him," she said, without even the slightest hesitation. Qiao Ying's casual "I don't know him" made Xu Mingchen frown. To Xu Mingchen, considering Qiao Ying had previously delivered breakfast and love letters to him, calling her a clingy booger was still an understatement. Yet she dared not admit what she had done. But to Qiao Ying, it really was just, "I don't know him." Xu Mingchen felt it was hypocritical, and also felt a burst of irritation. He walked straight past the two. However, after walking some distance away, he inexplicably looked back again. He saw Qiao Ying still standing in her original spot, watching as the man left. Xu Mingchen sneered to himself in his heart and stopped paying attention. He entered the teaching building. In the eyes of the top student, Xu Mingchen, lacking motivation was even more despicable than cheating for high scores. Qiao Ying looked at Cheng Jinyan's business card in her hand. Her fingers bent slightly, and in the next second, the business card that others coveted like a precious treasure was flicked into the trash can. Qiao Ying walked at a steady pace, following behind Xu Mingchen back to the classroom. How could she not have Cheng Jinyan's contact information? Did she need this thing if she wanted to find him? The moment Qiao Ying appeared in the classroom, she was met with the unanimous gazes of her classmates. These gazes contained admiration, doubt, appraisal. Even the teacher watched her walk from the door to her seat. These gazes lingered for a long time without retracting. The scene was somewhat ridiculous, yet the person involved acted as if they were invisible, calmly doing her own thing. It had to be said, this kind of composure was not something ordinary people could have. That night, after returning home, Qiao Ying went for her usual night run as always. After finishing her run and coming back, she saw the lights ablaze in the Qiao family courtyard and a small car and electric scooter parked at the door. Voices could be heard coming from inside. Qiao Ying had extremely good hearing. She instantly discerned who the people were. She pushed open the courtyard gate and saw Principal Fang Li and her math teacher, as well as the 4 members of the Chou family standing in the living room. On the ground was a pile of expensive gifts. and on the table were two bulging paper bags, with their contents easy to guess. Xiaoying, you're finally back. Come over quickly and help your dad understand what is going on here. I'm having a bit of trouble understanding. Tell your dad what happened. Chao's father waved his hands repeatedly, calling Xiao Ying over, while inviting the principal and teacher to sit down again. His sun-darkened face showed utter confusion and nervousness. Qiao's father had lived half his life, and the highest status people he had seen were construction foremen and engineering bosses at work sites. Usually it was him ordering people around. When had he ever had a principal come bearing gifts and money, speaking to him gently and humbly? Even the usually sarcastic and arrogant Li Lilian had become gentle, speaking softly. There's nothing to explain. If you don't take your things and leave right now, I'll have Qin Hanyue come personally escort you out. Qiao Ying didn't stop walking and headed straight into her room to grab clothes and shower. Qiao Ying's attitude and words stunned the Qiao family for a moment, leaving them unable to react. Mr. Qiao. The principal and teacher grabbed Qiao father's hands as if clutching at a lifeline. Qiao father snapped back to his senses and hurriedly promised he would help smooth things over. Ever since she was little, Qiao Ying's grades had been terribly low. Qiao father was no stranger to being called to school and lectured by young teachers, leaving the middle-aged man unable to hold his head high. Yet now, the principal was deferentially addressing him as Mr. Qiao and grabbing his hand. Never having experienced such a scene before, Qiao father felt nervous and uneasy, afraid that Qiao Ying had caused some trouble. After Qiao Ying finished her shower and came out, seeing that the people were still there, she frowned in displeasure and looked at the two. Just this one look caused the principal and teacher to let go of Qiao father's hands, as if electrocuted. Then we'll take our leave first and not disturb your family's rest. The two practically fled, but before they made it out of the courtyard, they suddenly heard Qiao Ying's voice. Wait. The two turned around anxiously yet expectantly. Qiao? But Qiao Ying just coldly spat out two words. The stuff. The two didn't dare say anything and hurriedly went back to grab the gifts on the ground. Seeing the principal take away the paper bags on the table, Li Lilian immediately called out, Principal Fang. She stubbornly chased after the principal for a few steps, then turned and glared angrily at Qiao Ying. You little wretch, do you know what's inside those bags? There's 100,000 yuan inside. Qiao Ying glanced coldly at her and didn't bother responding. She went back to her room and shut the door. Li Lilian wouldn't let them take the money back and hurriedly chased after them. Yao Yi. Exactly what is going on here. Tell your dad again. Qiao father had actually understood very clearly. He just didn't believe like everyone else that Qiao Ying could test so high, much less believe that because of this one thing the principal would personally come apologize to him with gifts. Based on the principal and teacher's attitudes, Qiao father felt things couldn't be so simple. Also, who was this Qin Hanyue that Qiao Ying mentioned? He did seem to recall that was the name of their city mayor in Yuncheng. Qiao Yi relayed the events again. Although Qiao father found it hard to believe, with the principal and teacher coming to apologize, he had no choice but to believe it. He said approvingly, I knew you and Lingling are so smart. How could your big sister really be that poor in school? It's absolutely not like that. Qiao Lingling practically jumped up and down. How could she possibly get full marks? She must have cheated, but they just don't have evidence. If she hadn't found the police to blow up the matter, the principal and them wouldn't have come. Qiao Lingling gritted her teeth, her pretty face twisted slightly. Big sister isn't stupid at all. Her poor grades before were just because she didn't want to test well. Qiao Yi immediately stood up for Qiao Ying. Didn't want to test well? Huh. Qiao Lingling found it downright laughable. Only a fool would believe what she says. The problem the Beijing University president published last year. Big Sis solved it. Go take a look yourself on the Beijing University Math Forum if you don't believe me. Do you even know what you're saying? Qiao Lingling felt it was getting more and more ridiculous. Qiao Lingling was good at math and dreamed of getting into Beijing University like Qiao Yi, so she naturally also followed the Beijing University Math Forum. Qiao Yi didn't want to discuss it further with her and went back to his room. Seeing Chao Yi's believe it or not attitude, Chao Lingling also started doubting herself. So she stubbornly went back to her room, picked up her battered phone that needed charging 7 or 8 times a day, and opened up the forum. Leaving Kiao father standing alone in the living room, the slow-witted man finally reacted after some time and hurriedly went to see the principal off. Beijing. Qin Hanyue was a workaholic through and through. By the time he got home from the company, it was already past 10 o'clock at night. Young master, Principal Zhang has been waiting for you all evening. The butler came out to greet him upon hearing the car engine. Why didn't you inform me? Qin Hanyue strode up the stairs heading inside. Principal Zhang said not to disturb you. On the living room sofa sat an elderly man wearing old prescription glasses, completely engrossed in something on his phone, occasionally pushing his glasses up his nose. Hearing the butler say he was back, the old man quickly lifted his head. He saw the man's tall and upright figure, his imposing manner. The tailored high-end bespoke suit made him look even nobler and more refined than world-famous models. The crisp pant creases were sharp as a knife. In just a few strides he was before him. You waited so late here? Why didn't you just call me if you had business with me? Qin Hanyue took off his suit jacket and handed it to a nearby butler. I knew you were busy. I'll skip the pleasantries. I came to ask a favor today. Go ahead. Qin Hanyue sat down on the sofa and poured a cup of tea for the elder. I want you to help me find someone. Here's what happened. Last year, some old professor colleagues and I came up with a problem for fun, but we couldn't solve it even after 2 months. So I posted it online, and it wasn't until 2 days ago that someone finally solved it. But I haven't been able to contact this person no matter what. The old man was none other than Zhang Chengyong, the president of Beijing University. Look, it's this person. Zhang Principal held up his phone to Qin Hanyue's face, pointing to the post Chao Yi had made on the forum to show him. Qin Hanyue first glanced at the ID, and then was drawn in by the 6 pictures in the post. He took the phone and looked at the pictures. His first thought was, this handwriting isn't bad. Then he read through the process of solving the problem. Qin Hanyue was born in Zurich and grew up in Los Angeles. While studying in Country M, he had helped manage his family's enterprises there, and at the same time started his own personal company, successfully taking it public within a year. After studying abroad, he resolutely returned to China and enrolled in Capital University. At 20 years old, he officially took over the Qin Group, and he had always been both student and friend to Zhang Principal. Seeing Qin Hanyue looking at the problem, Zhang Principal said, I was originally going to take this problem and ask you, but you're so busy running your enterprises. This old man didn't dare take up your time. It's really not easy getting to see you. Qin Hanyue didn't have much interest in the problem. After quickly glancing over it, he said, Don't they have real name registration on the forum? No. If they had real name registration, I could have just had the administrator look into it directly. Why would I specially come find you? Our Capital University Forum only requires real name registration for faculty and students here. These visitors don't need it, but their posts and comments do still need to be reviewed by the administrators before being published. Qin Hanyue, have you contacted him? Both myself and your junior fellow student Xu Ji have contacted him. This old man made quite a generous offer, but he just replied it was inconvenient, and after that he stopped responding to this old man. Your junior fellow student Xu Ji was even preparing to get a hacker to look up his IP address. I figured that wouldn't be too good, so I came to ask your help. Then how do you want me to find him? Qin Hanyue put down the phone. You have such great abilities. Surely you must have a way. Just get one of your technical staff to help me check, that's all. How is that any different from Xu Ji getting a hacker? Zhang Principal pushed his glasses up the bridge of his nose. It seemed there really was no difference. Seeing Qin Hanyue's faint smile, Zhang Principal stubbornly said, The nature is still different. Qin Hanyue didn't say anything more, and had someone call over his assistant, Qin Yan. Not only was Qin Yan Qin Hanyue's assistant, he was also the world's 10th-ranked hacker Q. Very few people knew this identity. Many of the Qin Group's security systems came from Qin Yan's hands. Having a top hacker like him look up a simple IP address really was beneath his abilities. How long will this take? Zhang Principal impatiently asked. The day he made that post, I happened to have a headache flare-up and took medicine at home lying down all day, so I wasn't able to contact him right away. I'm afraid he'll feel I'm not sincere enough and refuse to meet with me. That's why I want to find him quickly. Most geniuses have unique personalities. Xu Ziyi was one such example. Very quickly, within 3 minutes, Qin Yan opened up his computer and started operating. Zhang Principal crowded in to watch. Seeing all that quickly flashing data, he didn't recognize any of it and couldn't help sighing at society and technological progress. Qin Yan went through some operations and was just about to lock onto the other party's IP address when a big blinking red exclamation mark suddenly popped up on the screen, warning of danger. What is this? Even someone clueless like Zhang Principal could see something had gone wrong. Qin Hanyue, who was sitting to the side looking at his phone, heard the commotion and asked, "What's wrong?" "The other side has set up a firewall," Qin Yan replied. After some effort, he successfully broke through it and confirmed the location of the other device. "It's in Yun City." Yun City again. Qin Hanyue's eyes slightly lifted. This little Yun City really has been a bit unstable lately. Qin Hanyue, keep narrowing down the location. Got it, Qin Yan confidently responded. But after a few minutes his brow first furrowed, and then his mood lifted, as he said with interest, "How intriguing." Zhang Principal looked at the suddenly energetic Qin Yan, then looked at Qin Hanyue, wanting to say something but not daring to ask, afraid to disturb Qin Yan. Xiao Yi was using his phone to look up information. Suddenly a flashing exclamation mark and line of text appeared on the screen. "Device is under unidentified network attack. System protecting. Please repair as soon as possible." After that, the screen turned blood red, followed by a black skull appearing, giving him a fright. Xiao Yi thought he must have accidentally tapped something. He wanted to close the background and return to the home screen, but no matter what he did, the phone wouldn't respond. Trying to turn it off didn't work either. If this was his old phone from before, Qiao Yi wouldn't have cared too much, and would have just waited until the next day to show Qiao Ying. But this frighteningly expensive new phone had just been bought not long ago. He was normally very careful picking it up and putting it down, afraid of bumping or scratching it. So Qiao Yi didn't care if Qiao Ying was asleep or not, and hurriedly took it to show her. Qiao Ying had just gotten out of the shower, and was bored, when Qiao Yi came to find her with the phone. "Sis, I think my phone got a virus, look." Qiao Yi had learned computer skills from his sister for 2 days, and knew quite a bit of technical vocabulary now. "Were you looking at inappropriate sites for minors?" Qiao Ying glanced at it and arched a brow. Qiao Yi's ears grew hot. "I wasn't looking at anything. I was just searching for study materials when the phone suddenly ended up like this." Whether it was a virus or an attack, how could Xiao Ying, as the world's #1 hacker, not recognize it instantly? She was just teasing him a bit. Seeing Qiao Ying's unconcerned, nearly laughing expression, Qiao Yi awkwardly muttered, "You sure do talk like." "Like what?" Qiao Ying was completely unbothered. She took Qiao Yi's phone and opened up her computer. Qiao Yi didn't want to chat about such things with his sister, and hurriedly changed the subject. "Sis, what's going on with my phone? Someone attacked it." "Who?" Qiao Yi looked at his weird phone screen, then looked at Qiao Ying's nearly dizzyingly fast operations, involuntarily becoming nervous. This was his first time encountering something like this. "It's not an indiscriminate attack," Qiao Ying said instead. "At that time, at the Qin family and Qin Hanyue's residence." "Still not done?" Qin Hanyue put down his phone. It had already been over 10 minutes. Looking up, he saw Qin Yan's deeply furrowed brow and exceptionally solemn expression. Sweat was streaming down his forehead and temples without him realizing it, and the air around him had become stifling. Zhang Principal looked between Qin Yan and the computer, not daring to ask a single question, afraid of disturbing Qin Yan. Qin Yan's hands sped up more and more. Soon only the clacking sound of the keyboard could be heard. He felt his mouth go dry. "The other side discovered me, not only strengthening their firewall but breaking through mine, and also..." As he operated, he quickly explained. "And also, my device got reverse traced." Qin Yan's hands abruptly stopped as he raised his head to look at Qin Hanyue. Meanwhile, a map with crisscrossing routes and a flashing red dot in the middle appeared on Chao Ying's computer screen. Qiu Yi asked, "Where is this?" Chao Ying replied, "Capital City." "Capital City? Qin family." "Capital City?" Chao Yi was puzzled. "What are they trying to do?" Qiao Ying explained it to him. Probably something related to Capital University. Qiao Yi reacted very quickly. That math problem? The only thing that could link him to Capital City was the post on the Capital University Mathematics Forum. "They are looking for you." Chao Ying took a deep breath. She thought Capital University was making too big of a fuss, but considering even the math genius Xu Zhiyi could not solve this problem, using such means was reasonable. However, Qiao Yi said, "It's a bit too impolite." If he remembered correctly, Qin Hanyue, the head of the Qin family, graduated from Capital University. So if he guessed correctly, Capital University must have asked for his help. In her previous life, Qiao Ying had heard Qin Hanyue's name mentioned everywhere. She had always been very interested in this mysterious figure. Since that's the case, let's send them a gift in return. Qiao Ying's mischievous side emerged. Qiao Yi asked, "Send a gift? What gift? How?" Qin Hanyue reached out his hand, and Qin Yan immediately gave him the laptop. After the results, Qin Hanyue tried to attack the firewall set up by the other side again. After a few rounds, Qin Hanyue was also getting interested. While Qiao Ying was preparing a return gift, her device prompted an attack again. She immediately blocked it and counterattacked. After exchanging a few moves, Qiao Ying realized this person was not the same as before. This person's skills were obviously better than the previous one. From the previous person's technical approach, Qiao Ying deduced that he should be Q, ranked 10th on the hacker leaderboard. As for the latter, she couldn't figure out who it was. The Qin family really had hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Qin Hanyue was not on the leaderboard, but Qin Yan, Q, ranked among the top 10 hackers, was trained by him. The two went back and forth. Like others, Qin Hanyue's hacking skills were as sharp as a blade, striking at critical points. Chao Ying was careless for a moment, and he seized the opportunity to slip through a loophole. Qin Hanyue took the chance to narrow down the scope. Jiangxia district. It was not an unfamiliar place either. He remembered that a few days ago he had gone with Qin Yuchen to visit the Lifesaver, which was in Jiangxia district. Qiao Ying, who became famous at a young age with a great reputation, lost for the first time. She narrowed her eyes slightly. Just as Qin Hanyue was about to further narrow the scope, the webcam light on the computer suddenly flashed. He reacted swiftly by lowering the laptop slightly, so the camera was stuck right at his chest. What Qiao Ying saw was the man's half-body in a suit, and the black belt around his waist and abdomen, full of an air of abstinence. Qin Hanyue had the laptop on his lap. Although she couldn't see his face, she could vaguely see a corner of the luxurious decor behind him. "Who is this?" Qiao Yi asked, and immediately shut his mouth, thinking the person on the screen might hear him. "He can't hear us," Qiao Ying said, her eyes falling on the man's slender and well-defined right hand resting in front of the screen. There was a mole on the first joint of his right index finger. "Very sexy." Qin Yan, who was standing aside, stared with wide eyes when he saw that the other party had actually monitored them. Since she didn't see his face, Chao Ying was not interested in looking at the man's upper body. After secretly sending the gift, she stopped entangling with him further and gave the phone back to Chao Yi. "My phone is fine now, right?" Qiao Yi turned on his phone again and found it back to normal. After confirming with Qiao Ying again about the guaranteed admission, Qiao Yi went back to his room and deleted the post. At this time, the post had over 120,000 likes, with over 60,000 reposts and comments. All kinds of people were there, and even many foreigners. Qiao Yi didn't feel regret at all. He directly clarified his attitude by deleting the post. Qin Hanyue handed the laptop back to Qin Yan and asked, "Should be one of the top few on the leaderboard. You've dealt with them a lot. Can you recognize who it is based on the skills?" After thinking about it, Qin Yan said solemnly, "Looking at the approach, it's like X, ranked first," though he was extremely excited inside. X, ranked first, was his idol. It does seem like his style, doing math problems and posting like that. It was quite absurd. Qin Hanyue was quite interested in getting to know this genius hacker, whose style was so unpredictable that he couldn't get a read on him at all. He was now certain that this X was the same person as the math genius. Principal Zhang listened for a long time without understanding anything. So he interrupted. Did you find him? No need to look anymore. Go back and rest early, Principal. I'll have someone send you back or arrange a room for you, Qin Hanyue said. You didn't find him? Principal Zhang looked very disappointed. If even Qin Hanyue couldn't find him, then there was no one in the world who could. The conditions you offered, he doesn't lack any of them. He was probably just bored and wanted to satisfy his itch by doing this problem, Qin Hanyue said. No matter if it was X or not, with such skills and intelligence, how could he care about the conditions Principal Zhang offered? Moreover, the X he knew was a free man. Principal Zhang thought about it and realized it was true. The other party was someone more brilliant at math than the genius Xu Ji. So why would he lack those conditions? The conditions he proposed were too petty for the other person after all. Subsequently, Principal Zhang discovered that the post on the forum had been deleted and couldn't be found no matter how much he tried refreshing it. He thought to himself, looks like the other party is angry. The next day, Kin Group. Qin Yan had not slept all night and started the morning meeting with his laptop. This is the latest development progress of the Blue Bay Resort. Qin Yan operated his laptop and opened a folder. The information appeared on the huge electronic screen behind Qin Hanyue. The Qin family's business spanned the world with involvement in multiple industries. One of them was the country's largest real estate tycoon. Qin Yukin was focused on the meeting, and when he looked up at the electronic screen behind Uncle Qin Hanyue, he blurted out, "Whoa." The executives in the meeting room also widened their eyes, each with an amazing expression on their face. Qin Yan was a bit absent-minded and reacted slowly. He turned around in puzzlement. When he saw what was on the screen behind Qin Hanyue, Qin Yan almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Qin Hanyue was fiddling with a pen in his hand. He scanned the executives before swiveling his chair with his long legs. Qin Yan stared wide-eyed, suddenly fully awake. He scrambled to close it but couldn't no matter what. When Qin Hanyue turned around, what entered his eyes were naked male and female bodies entwined together, uncensored. Being the closest to the screen, the visual impact on Qin Hanyue was exceptionally strong. Not only could Qin Yan not close it, his laptop even began malfunctioning. Explicit color pictures rushed to appear on the electronic screen one after another. Finally, an intense video came on, accompanied by wonderful sounds. Qin Hanyue, who was successfully aggravated in both the eyes and ears, immediately darkened his face. This was Qiao Ying's return gift. The usually serious conference room became colorful, filled with the woman's passionate moans. Qin Yan was so anxious that he broke into a sweat. Boss Qin. Cough, Assistant Qin. Keeping such things on work computers can easily lead to mistakes. Remember to save them elsewhere next time, Qin Yuchen said with a suppressed laugh, the wound on his face hurting from holding it in. For Qin Yuken, who had feared Uncle Qin Hanyue since he was little, being able to watch the usually moral and stern uncle forced to watch porn in public was something he could laugh about for years. Boss, there's a virus in my computer. Qin Yan tried to defend himself. He couldn't turn it off no matter what. So in a moment of desperation, Qin Yan grabbed the remote control on the table and smashed the electronic screen. With a bang, the middle of the electronic screen cracked, but didn't break entirely. The sound even strangely got louder. I'll pay for it, Qin Yan said with a crying face to Qin Hanyue. Actually, you just need to turn off the display, Qin Yuken reminded. Things were fine before Qin Yuchen said that, but after hearing it, Qin Yan wanted to cry even more. Qin Yan had seen all kinds of situations by Qin Hanyue's side, but this time he was completely shocked stupid. It was more terrifying than being chased by someone with a gun. He simply hadn't paid attention to what he grabbed, and didn't remember to use the remote control to turn it off either. Seeing Qin Hanyue's increasingly darkening face, he could only think of smashing the display. As for why he didn't smash his own computer, it was because there was too much information in his computer to smash. Qin Hanyue naturally knew it was the ghost of that person from last night, and he didn't blame Qin Yan too much for not checking it first. Dismissed, he threw out a sentence and strode out of the conference room with large steps. Qin Yuchen went over and patted Qin Yan on the shoulder. "Assistant Qin, courageous. This is the first time I've seen my third uncle's face so black." That third uncle of his usually had good self-cultivation. Qin Yan was in tears, hurried to clear the virus, and checked his own computer, only to find that all the information inside had been replaced with colorful pictures and videos. Qin Yan held his computer with tears streaming down his face. Had he offended his idol this time? However, he thought to himself that if the person last night was really X, after this incident today, he would have to consider climbing the wall to change idols. Too vicious. "Did you delete the post on the forum?" Qiao Lingling got up early in the morning and found the post was gone, so she ran to Qiao Yi's room to ask. Qiao Yi's account on the Capital University Math Forum was always known to Qiao Lingling. She just didn't understand why, since the problem was made up by Qiao Ying. He didn't make an account himself to post it, but had Qiao Yi post it instead. At this time, Qiao Lingling still didn't believe that Qiao Ying could solve the problem. Qiao Yi, yeah. Why? Does this need a reason? Seeing that Qiao Yi was indifferent to her, but got along well with Qiao Ying. Qiao Lingling was extremely imbalanced in her heart. Originally, Qiao Yi was aloof and detached from everyone due to his personality, which was fine. But now what was this? Even if she didn't really like this lame younger brother, and didn't even want her classmates and friends to know she had such a lame younger brother, she just couldn't stand Qiao Yi ignoring her and caring about Qiao Ying. Qiao Lingling suppressed the dissatisfaction in her heart and asked, "Didn't you say that solving the problem could guarantee admission to Capital University? Has Qiao Ying been admitted?" "Yes. I did receive private messages from the president of Capital University and Xu Zhiyi. But my sister doesn't need it. She can get into Capital herself," Qiao Yi said, putting on his school bag and saying to Qiao Lingling, blocking the door, "I have to go to school now." Even Xu Zhiyi privately messaged her. Qiao Lingling had always been arrogant and aloof. When almost all the girls in the school liked the school hunk Xu Mingchen, she was thinking of working hard to get into Capital University to see the math genius Xu Zhiyi. She refused? Qiao Lingling stared in disbelief, her voice shrill. She was insanely jealous in her heart. "You're not bragging, are you? Something so influential, how could the president of Capital not come in person? Even if it was his own daughter, he couldn't be so forceful. Believe it or not, whatever you want." Qiao Yi put his school bag over his shoulder, went around Qiao Lingling, and left. Qiao Lingling gritted her teeth furiously. The more she looked, the more she felt Qiao Yi and Qiao Ying were cut from the same cloth and equally detestable. Qiao Lingling was in no hurry to go out. Instead, she waited until they were at work or school and no one was home, then started rummaging through Qiao Yi's desk piled high with books. She even opened the drawers to look, but saw that the drawer contained the new cell phone Qiao Ying had bought for Qiao Yi. Qiao Lingling picked up the phone and looked at the model that was even more beautiful than the advertisement photo. Then she thought of the 800 yuan phone she bought 2 years ago that was already glitching and on the verge of collapse, and she wished she could crush the phone in her hand. She regained her sanity and tried to unlock Qiao Yi's lock screen pattern. She didn't succeed the first time. Then she tried using the lock screen pattern from Qiao Yi's old phone and successfully unlocked the phone. She went into the forum and first saw the tens of thousands of crowded private messages. The genius and master flattering from those people towards Qiao Ying made Qiao Lingling's eyes turn red with jealousy. She found the private message from the president of Capital University to Qiao Yi and saw the generous conditions offered by the president, saying he would give an apartment and a car. But they were all rejected by Qiao Yi with one sentence. It really was the same as what Qiao Yi said. She also found Xu Zhiyi's message. When she saw that Xu Zhiyi was practically begging for just 5 minutes of interaction, Qiao Lingling's hand started shaking as she was on the verge of going mad. But she held back. She noticed one key point. Qiao Yi had not revealed from beginning to end that the problem was solved by Qiao Ying. The president of Capital University and Xu Zhiyi didn't even know if this genius was male or female. So she looked for that notebook again. At this moment, her actions were almost neurotic. Finally, she found it under a math textbook. She opened it, and sure enough, it contained the complete solution process for that problem, a full 6 pages, identical to the pictures Qiao Yi had taken and posted online. Qiao Lingling was ecstatic and excited, breathing heavily. She smirked, with madness flashing in her eyes. Have you guys heard that the homeroom teacher and math teacher of Class 8 have resigned? Resigned? I heard they were fired, and the math teacher even had his teaching certificate revoked. That can't be true, right? Just for wrongly accusing a student of cheating on a test, they get fired and have their certificates revoked? Besides, it's not even certain that it was a false accusation. Do you guys really believe that loser Qiao Ying could test higher than Xu Mingchen? It's true, not made up. My uncle works at the Department of Education. He said the mayor put pressure on them. These past few days they've been holding meetings morning, noon, and night about the false accusation of cheating at number 7 middle school. And there's insider news. Not just the teachers, my uncle said even Principal Fang will probably get fired. The mayor? You're full of it. How could the mayor get involved in this? Do you think Qiao Ying is related to him? Even if she was his own daughter, he couldn't be so forceful. Maybe there really is some connection. Otherwise, how could Principal Fang publicly apologize in front of all the teachers and students? You think the cause of this was just falsely accusing a student of cheating? That day, Qiao Ying was in the principal's office with all the school leaders for nearly an hour. Who knows if something else happened? The police even came afterwards. Can you say it was just a false accusation of cheating? Also, I heard some students say they saw Qiao Ying with a well-dressed, extremely handsome man that day, and they were talking about something. This Qiao Ying can't have some background, right? Humph, just wait and see. This thing is definitely not over yet. I was fortunate to have been standing in the hallway for punishment that day, and I saw the man you guys are talking about. To be honest, even I as a guy felt he was handsome. You could feel his aura from far away. Damn, just what happened in the principal's office that day. Xu Mingchen was sitting in his seat working on test questions. With the Gaokao approaching, the learning atmosphere had always been tense and anxious. But these past 2 days, because of Qiao Ying's matter, the class had never been so lively. Listening to the heated discussions and speculation of the classmates, Xu Mingchen thought back to when he ran into Feng Teng under the principal's office that day, and that well-dressed man who aroused endless imagination and curiosity among the female students. The hype around this matter lasted a few days in the school before slowly dying down as everyone refocused their minds on studying. However, they were shocked to discover on Monday morning flag raising their principal had been replaced. The new principal was amiable and looked like Maitreya Buddha. He was formerly the vice principal of number 6 middle school and was now transferred to their school as the new principal. The classes exploded again. From teachers to leaders, security guards to cafeteria aunties, everyone in the school knew about Qiao Ying from Class 8. Hey Qiao Yi, is what they're saying real or fake? Does your fat sister really have connections? I see you've been dressing quite wealthy lately, and it seems you also changed your phone to the newest, most expensive model. Did your family get relocated or did your sister meet some rich brother in society? Tell us about it, okay? Now that your family has money, can your leg get cured? I don't think his lame leg can be cured. The muscles have probably atrophied after so many years. Don't say that. Your fat sister seems thinner now. I saw her this morning, much skinnier. She'll probably be even prettier after some time. No wonder she could meet a rich, statusful brother. Hey, something happened. Some high school students are fighting. Who? Who's fighting who? Not clear. Seems to be over an argument. They're fighting fiercely, even drawing blood. The ambulance and police cars came. I heard the high school student who started it is the study emperor of his class. The one beaten has some family power, so this study emperor is probably screwed. Don't know what the other guy said to provoke him into attacking. Probably Class 1. Seems the one who beat people has a lame leg. The other guy probably made fun of his disability. Qiao Ying, who was resting with eyes closed in his seat, opened his eyes. Not only made fun of him being lame, but also said indecent things about his sister, I heard. Started as one-on-one, but when the guy getting beat couldn't win, he called over some buddies who are good fighters to gang up on the other student. In the principal's office, once again, but this time, it was even more lively than the last. The room was filled with people, creating a bustling atmosphere. The few boys involved stood at the back. The one who was most severely injured sat on a chair, while a nurse was applying some alcohol to his wounds. He gritted his teeth in pain, emitting a hissing sound, and looked provocatively at Qiao Yi, who stood alone. "Do you even know how to fight?" A woman dressed extravagantly forcefully pulled the nurse aside and yelled at the doctor standing nearby. "I paid money, and you doctors are not doing anything while these interns treat my son's injuries. If anything happens to my son, I can shut down this hospital." The woman glared at them with eyes that could devour a person. The doctor quickly took the forceps from the nurse's hand and started treating the injured boy. "You, young lady, come and attend to this child's wound." The new principal, Zhang Shoyun, who resembled a Buddha, called out to the nurse who was pulled away. "I paid you to come here. Dare you treat him?" The woman immediately turned ferocious and menacingly addressed the nurse. Then, she directed her gaze, which seemed ready to kill, at Qiao Yi and raised her hand, ready to rush over and hit him. "You bastard who grew up without a mother's teachings, how dare you hit my son?" Fortunately, Zhang Shoyun and several teachers held her back. "Let go of me. Do you even know what my husband does? Are you all trying to ruin your careers?" "Madam, you have just learned the details of the situation. While it's true that Ko Yi was wrong to resort to violence, it was your son who was at fault first. If you lay a hand on him, the situation will change." Zhang Shoyun tried to persuade her. "The situation? Let me tell you. I will cripple this boy in front of you today, and I'd like to see who can do anything to me." "You can't say such things, madam. Trouble comes from loose lips. Rest assured, I will handle this matter fairly and impartially. I will give you a satisfactory response. Shall we first send the child to the hospital? And what about these?" Zhang Shoyun pointed at the several bodyguards the woman had brought along. "Should we send them back first? We don't want to scare the child." Unexpectedly, the woman pointed her finger at Zhang Shoyun, her sharp eyes narrowing. "You must be new here, right? Did you even bother to check my identity before you came? Let me tell you, my husband is the chairman of Shanshui Group. Believe me, I can have you packing up and going home in minutes." Zhang Shoyun remained unruffled. He was appointed by Feng Teng, and he had the support of Feng Teng behind him, and it seemed that there was an even bigger figure behind Feng Teng. Seeing that there was no way to communicate with the other party, Zhang Shoyun couldn't be bothered to argue with her. Noticing that Qiao Yi was having trouble standing due to his injured foot, he brought over a chair for him. But Qiao Yi didn't sit down. "When will your guardian arrive?" Zhang Shoyun looked kindly at Qiao Yi. After a while, Qiao Yi finally spoke. "My dad is at work and can't come." "What about your mother?" "She's out of town." Lillian suddenly said that there was a relative getting married in her ancestral home today, and she insisted on taking a day off to attend the wedding with Qiao Lingling. Qiao Yi thought to himself, it's a good thing they're not in Yun City right now, or else things would be even more chaotic. Well, Principal Zhang Shoyun wanted to say something more, but Qiao Yi interrupted. "I'll take full responsibility for any questions." Zhang Shoyun nodded with a smile, appreciating the young man's courage. "What are you all standing there for? Did my husband hire you to watch a show? Teach this kid a lesson." The woman pointed at Qiao Yi and shouted at the bodyguards. "Are you all deaf? Don't want to work anymore, huh?" The young man pushed the doctor aside and yelled at his own bodyguards, pointing at Qiao Yi. At that moment, the door behind the young man was pushed open. In the next second, he received a powerful kick to his back, resulting in a loud bang as he and the chair toppled to the ground. The kick felt as heavy as 1,000 pounds, and the young man thought he had been hit by a boulder. It felt like his backbones were shattered. He crashed heavily onto the ground and couldn't move for a while. Everyone was taken aback by this sudden turn of events. Looking closely, they saw a girl in school uniform standing there. The woman screamed and stumbled over to check on her son. Qiao Ying had her hands in her pockets and glanced at the young man on the ground. Still barking like a dog, she remarked casually, then walked unhurriedly towards Qiao Yi. You need to improve your skills if you want to fight. Qiao Yi looked at Qiao Ying, who appeared out of nowhere. The restraint and fear he had been holding back suddenly overwhelmed him. His nose tingled and his eyes welled up with tears. Sis, he choked out. Being only 16 years old, Qiao Yi had always been quiet and focused on his studies. It was the first time he had encountered such a situation, and the other party was the husband of the chairman and a bodyguard. How could he not be afraid? Unable to hold back the tears, Qiao Yi turned his head away, but Qiao Ying still saw them. Qiao Yi suppressed his urge to cry. Sis, I caused trouble. Qiao Yi regretted at that moment. He knew that the consequences of his impulsive actions would be unbearable for his whole family. The other party was rich and influential, and it could even affect his two sisters who were about to take the college entrance examination. As the only support for him, Qiao Yi felt helpless and lost, like a child who had done something wrong. Qiao Ying, however, smiled lightly at him and spoke in a calm tone. It's not a big deal. If you blew this up today, even Sis can handle it for you. Excuse me, young lady, how could you resort to violence? Zhang Shouyun quickly approached to check on the condition of the young man. Upon seeing Qiao Ying, the other school leaders reacted as if they had seen a star of ill omen. They hurriedly went to inform Zhang Shouyun, that's Qiao Ying. Upon hearing this, Zhang Shouyun immediately turned to look. Wasn't that Qiao Ying? He had been too focused on the young man who was being beaten and hadn't paid attention before. How did Qiao Ying get involved again? Zhang Shouyun looked at Qiao Ying and then at Qiao Yi, and immediately realized they were siblings. Feng Teng had only asked him to take care of Qiao Ying, but not her whole family. Besides, he had just taken office today and had no idea that Qiao Yi was Qiao Ying's younger brother. If he was Qiao Ying's brother, then things were much easier. Son, my son, how are you? Say something to Mom, huh? Doctor, why aren't you coming over to check on my son? The woman held her son and shouted, then turned to the bodyguards. What are you all standing there for? Beat her to death for me. The bodyguards, seeing their employer's son being beaten, didn't hesitate and rushed towards Qiao Ying, causing chaos at the scene. Sis. Qiao Yi immediately stood in front of his sister, facing an oncoming fist. Before he could react, Qiao Ying had already pulled him away, and then the person was kicked and sent flying. In the astonished gaze of the crowd, Qiao Ying quickly took down several well-trained bodyguards in a matter of moments. Once they regained their senses, they saw 7 or 8 people lying on the ground, writhing in pain and howling. Looking at Qiao Ying, both hands calmly tucked in his pockets, the few boys standing at the back were dumbfounded, as if watching an action movie. The school leaders who were worried about Qiao Ying's safety didn't have time to help, and they didn't even see clearly what had happened before everyone collapsed to the ground. Qiao Ying stepped on a baseball bat that he had somehow grabbed amidst the chaos. Then he flicked it back and lifted his toe, catching the bat in his hand. He walked up to the mother and son, towering over them with a cold gaze. Aren't you already 18? Can't even handle a fight and still call for mommy? What a grand show. She spoke while surveying the people present, and the male students who met her gaze were all scared to the point of holding their breath. Are you bullying my little brother because there's no one at home? Damn girl, how dare you hit my son today? You, your disabled brother, and your whole family are going down. The woman's malicious and resentful face contorted, as if she wished to devour Qiao Ying and Qiao Yi alive. Qiao Ying tightened her grip on the baseball bat in her hand. A glimpse of fierceness flashed across her beautiful face, and in the next second, she swung the baseball bat towards the woman's head. The onlookers screamed in fear. 2 or 3 timid boys even covered their eyes. Qiao Yi was also taken aback, wanting to intervene, but it was too late. The baseball bat stopped just an inch away from the woman's cheek. Everyone present held their breath, their mouths slightly agape. The brutal and bloody scene they expected did not occur. They all secretly breathed a sigh of relief, nervously swallowing their saliva. At the moment the baseball bat swung towards her, the woman had already been scared into silence, her mind going blank. She felt the wind as the baseball bat passed by, with the strands of her hair brushing against her cheek. Her eyes almost popped out of their sockets, and her legs went weak, causing her to sit on the ground motionless. Looking at the terror-stricken woman, a faint smile appeared at the corner of Qiao Ying's mouth. Her eyebrows and eyes carried a mischievous delight, reminiscent of a naughty child who had succeeded in a prank. Just when everyone thought everything was fine, Qiao Ying suddenly turned around and viciously struck the knee of the boy the woman was holding in her arms with the baseball bat. The sound of bones breaking clearly reached everyone's ears, accompanied by the boy's agonizing screams that pierced through their bones. It made everyone feel a tingling sensation on their scalps and their legs tremble. The boy lay on the ground, howling hysterically, in so much pain that he had to take deep breaths, sweating profusely within a few seconds. "Ah!" The woman's throat erupted in a series of frantic screams as she called out for her son and wanted to see his legs. But she didn't dare touch them. She frantically screamed for a doctor. The several boys who had joined in bullying Qiao Yi had never witnessed such a scene before. They were frightened and kept retreating as they watched the boy in excruciating pain, unable to faint but forced to remain conscious. They looked at the crazed woman and were terrified as they gazed at Qiao Ying, who appeared like a terrifying demon. The boy who had caught his breath held onto his mother's arm in fear, his face covered in tears and snot, crying and calling for his mom. "Mom, it hurts so much. My leg is broken. I'm going to be disabled. It hurts so much." Qiao Ying spoke in a casual tone, saying, "Since you discriminate against people with disabilities so much, why don't you taste what it's like to be disabled?" "We won't become disabled. We won't become disabled. The doctor will cure you. Call Chen Jianping. Call him now. Let him bring people here." The woman, with bloodshot eyes, shouted at the bodyguards, hating that she couldn't skin Qiao Ying alive. The burly bodyguards struggled to get up from the ground, unable to comprehend how such a small girl could possess such strength. Qiao Yi anxiously and uneasily watched as the bodyguard made the phone call. "I'm telling you, my husband knows people in the underworld. None of you here today watching the show can escape." The woman viciously pointed at the school leaders. The situation escalated quickly, and Zhang Shouyun was at a loss. Chen Jianping, the husband of this woman, was named an outstanding entrepreneur in Yuncheng City last year, and even Feng Teng had to give him face. Now Chen Jianping's son has been brutally crippled, and they want to shut down the school because of it. Even if Feng Teng has influential connections, they would only protect Qiao Ying and her brother. They wouldn't care about Zhang Shouyun's fate. If they can make him employed today, they can easily make him unemployed tomorrow. Zhang Shouyun was momentarily speechless, unsure of what to do, when he heard a faint laughter. He followed the sound and saw Qiao Ying with a baseball bat slung over her shoulder, hands in her pockets. It was a casual and lazy posture, yet it exuded a rebellious and domineering aura that was hard to describe. "Are you from around here? Tell me. Let's see if I know you." Qiao Ying thought that in a small rundown place like Yuncheng, she probably wouldn't know anyone. But it was also possible that she had worked under someone she used to know. "You insolent bitch, you dare to talk big when you're on the verge of death. Soon you'll know what it feels like to die." The woman gritted her teeth tightly. If she could fight back, she would have already charged forward. Qiao Ying pointed her baseball bat at the woman, raising an eyebrow, and kindly reminded her, "If you don't want to end up like your son, be careful with your words." Qiao Ying's expression remained indifferent. "I have a bad temper." Her temper was indeed bad, especially when she had a gun in her hand. The woman, faced with the baseball bat now pressed against her face, temporarily lost her arrogance. Seeing that the woman was behaving, Qiao Ying turned to Zhang Shouyun and said, "Did Feng Teng send you? Give him a call?" Zhang Shouyun, who was clueless about what to do, didn't hesitate and took out his phone to call Feng Teng, completely oblivious to the fact that Qiao Ying had just addressed Feng Teng by name. "Feng Teng?" The woman looked at Qiao Ying and thought, could it be impossible? How could a disabled man and a schoolgirl have any connection to Feng Teng? Just then, Zhang Shouyun addressed the person on the phone, Mayor Feng. Mayor Chao Yi's brain couldn't keep up with the pace and instinctively looked over. Qiao Ying reached out and took the phone. Mayor Feng, it's me. My brother was beaten up by some students in school, and the parents on the other side are wealthy and influential. They came to the school threatening to kill me and my brother. How should we handle this? Qiao Ying wasn't used to addressing a middle-aged man she had only met once with such respect. Even in her previous life as the Blood Shadow, she had often been addressed like that by juniors 10, or even several decades younger. Qiao Ying put the phone on speaker. Everyone present heard Feng Teng on the other end of the line as he slammed the table and exclaimed with great vigor, "Outrageous! There's no place for such lawlessness in my jurisdiction. Miss Qiao, are you all right? Where are you now? I'll send someone over immediately to ensure your and your brother's safety. I'll come over right away. I want to see who dares to act so lawlessly under my nose." She said her husband is the chairman of Shanshui Group and has connections in high places. Qiao Ying finished speaking, and Feng Teng frowned. The woman on the ground heard Feng Teng's silence on the other end and sneered. "Now you know who you've messed with, right? Let me tell you, it's too late. Even if Feng Teng meets my husband, he still has to show respect to my husband. You think you're capable? Go ahead and call for backup. I'd like to see what influential figure you can bring to protect you." Now even a nobody dares to call herself a miss. Zhang Shouyun thought to himself, it seems that the person behind Feng Teng is no less formidable than Chen Jianping. Meanwhile, Qiao Yi was no longer concerned about why her sister had such an unreachable connection with the mayor and was being respectfully addressed as Miss Qiao. He held his breath and stared intently at the phone in Qiao Ying's hand, afraid that he would be the one dragging down the whole family. Unexpectedly, after 2 seconds of silence, Feng Teng sneered, Shanshui Group. I hope Chen Jianping hasn't harmed Miss Chao and her family, otherwise I don't think he'll want his company either. Miss Chao, you wait. I'm coming over. There's no need for you to personally make this trip for such a trivial matter. Give a call to Chairman Chen, and if it's not resolved, call someone surnamed Qin. Since Qin Yuchen was so considerate and asked Feng Teng to take care of her, Qiao Ying naturally wouldn't be polite to him. She wasn't naive. Besides, a few days ago the Qin family invaded Qiao Yi's phone without permission, which made Qiao Ying quite upset at the time. Feng Teng's heart skipped a beat, and he nearly dropped his phone. What was the relationship between this Qiao Ying and the Qin family? She actually dared to call Qin Hanyue by her surname Qin. When he first heard that the other party was Chen Jianping of Shanshui Group, Feng Teng did find it a bit tricky. If possible, he naturally did not want to offend anyone. Now it seemed that Shanshui Group was nothing. Also, I told them to beat up my brother. It's best if nothing happens, but if something does happen, I can't guarantee what I might do. I'm giving you a heads up so everyone can be prepared, she said, casting a natural glance at the mother and son on the ground as she spoke the last sentence. Qiao Ying immediately hung up and threw the phone back to Zhang Shouyun. Then she said to the woman, "Call everyone you can call. Don't say I bullied you. Don't get too excited. No matter who is backing you, whether it's Feng Teng or whoever, even if I have to spend everything today, I won't rest until you're dead." The woman was used to being arrogant and domineering, relying on her family's money and power. She had no idea what fear was. Qiao Ying. Let's see about that. Chen Jianping, chairman of Shanshui Group, arrived even faster than expected. He rushed in with 2 bodyguards and an assistant, panicked. The woman was heartbroken seeing her son crying. As soon as she saw her husband Chen Jianping arrive, she immediately stood up aggressively. "Where have you been when your son and daughter-in-law were almost beaten to death? You're only coming now. Hurry up and get someone to kill this cheap slut and this cripple." The woman pointed at Qiao Ying and shouted at her husband with a hideous face. Unexpectedly, the next moment she was slapped hard by her husband. This slap not only stunned the woman, but confused everyone present. The woman stood there in disbelief, then seemed to go mad and wanted to rush at Chen Jianping, but was stopped by him pointing at her nose and glaring as a warning. "Behave yourself." The woman immediately froze, frightened to move again. "How is my son?" Chen Jianping ignored his wife and anxiously asked the doctor beside his son. "Doctor, the initial diagnosis is a comminuted fracture. We'll need to get X-rays at the hospital to see the extent of bone fragments." Hearing this, Chen Jianping immediately slapped his wife again, gritting his teeth. "I warned you not to recklessly throw my name around and not know your own strength. There are people outside people and sky outside sky. Today I am finally ruined by you, fool." If not for this fool, his son's leg would not have been broken. How bad could a student fight get? At most, some external injuries. Now not only was he disabled, he and his company might be finished too. Seeing his son in unbearable pain, Chen Jianping controlled his emotions and walked over to Chao Ying. "Miss Chao, is it? I'm sorry. On behalf of my son and wife, I sincerely apologize to you and your brother. I'm sorry, it's my fault for not teaching him well. The temple floods when the Dragon King is angry. Please be magnanimous and show leniency. I, Chen, am eternally grateful." Chao Ying glanced at Chen Jianping's outstretched hand and did not move. Chen Jianping retracted his hand and looked at Xiao Yi. He first saw Qiao Ying when he entered, and seeing she was unhurt, he secretly wiped the sweat. Now seeing Qiao Yi was not seriously injured either, he breathed a little easier. "How about an apology that's not too much, is it?" Chen Jianping immediately made his bodyguards forcibly prop up the son who was nearly fainting from pain, ignoring his cries of pain. They made him apologize to Qiao Yi. "I'm sorry, Qiao Yi. I'm sorry." The boy's tears flowed non-stop from the pain. He wished he was dead. Chen Jianping then dragged his wife over to make her apologize to the Chao siblings. "What do you think? Is this okay?" Chen Jianping asked. "What do you say?" But Chao Ying asked Qiao Yi instead. Qiao Yi looked at the Chen family, then at his sister, his eyes blank. His mouth opened but no words came out. "I'm giving Feng Teng some face today." With this sentence from Qiao Ying, it was like Chen Jianping was pardoned. He kept thanking her profusely, then hurriedly took his family away, not daring to linger another second, afraid Qiao Ying would change her mind. At this moment, he recalled Feng Teng's phone call on the way here. Feng Teng had told him, "She's from the Qin family in Beijing. Offending her is death." Yet earlier he had arrogantly said he would make sure whoever injured his son could not leave Yuncheng, and had even brought thugs with him. As the Chen family left, the principal's office suddenly became spacious. Just as they thought it was over, Qiao Ying's gaze turned to the few male students who were scared out of their wits standing in the corner. Noticing his sister's gaze, Qiao Yi finally regained some composure and said, "Sis, forget it." The boys reacted belatedly. Seeing Qiao Ying look at them, they instantly froze like wooden posts, legs trembling. They didn't even know what to say to apologize or beg for mercy. Zhang Shouyun timely stepped in. "How about this? One 3,000-character self-reflection from each, to be read aloud to the whole school tomorrow, and one demerit on record. Any more of this, and you're expelled." The boys nodded furiously, not daring to move their eyes an inch from Qiao Ying, afraid the baseball bat would strike them next. Seeing Qiao Ying did not say anything, seemingly acquiescing, Zhang Shouyun waved the boys away. They scrambled to run, one with limp legs letting his classmate drag him along. "Let's go to the school infirmary," Qiao Ying said to Qiao Yi and walked ahead. Qiao Yi followed her with uneven steps. The school leaders watched them leave. "Wait," Qiao Ying said to her brother and turned back to Zhang Shouyun. "Principal Zhang, please approve 2 days off." "No problem. I'll approve it right away." Zhang Shouyun reacted quickly and agreed readily. He thought, she's quite polite, even asking for leave. After the siblings left, the school leaders looked at each other, momentarily speechless. From Qiao Ying alone taking down several professional bodyguards, they already felt this world was magical. Then Qiao Ying shattered the Shanshui group young master's knee before their eyes, and the content of the call between Qiao Ying and Feng Teng, finally Chen Jianping's attitude. All of them were nearly 50 years old with various health issues like high blood pressure. They really could not handle such continuous shocks. Zhang Shouyun's endurance was better. At this moment he wondered, which Qin? Who's the Qin? able to make Feng Teng so uninhibited, make the esteemed Shanshui group chairman so afraid? Could it be? Zhang Shouyun didn't dare imagine further. Qiao Ying brought Qiao Yi to the school infirmary to clean his wounds. Qiao Yi's face and nose were bleeding, his eyes were swollen. There was a bruise on his forehead, and there were multiple bruises on his body. But for Qiao Ying, who had undergone extremely cruel training since childhood, getting shot was a daily occurrence, while also being the world-famous genius Dr. Seeley, this was not considered an injury. There was no need to make a special trip to the hospital for this. Qiao Yi took 2 anti-inflammatory pills and sat quietly on the edge of the bed, holding a steaming cup. He occasionally spaced out, or sneakily looked at Qiao Ying, then secretly pondered. "Did I scare you?" Qiao Ying asked. Qiao Yi immediately looked up at her. Qiao Ying had her arms crossed, her posture languid and casual as she leaned against the doorframe, completely unlike Qiao Yi's impression of her in the past decade or so. He wanted to say something but hesitated. "Seeing me break someone's leg, you think I'm scary?" "No," Qiao Yi quickly said. "Then what is it?" He just had so many questions he wanted to ask, and didn't know where to start, so he first asked what concerned him most. "Sis, is this over just like that?" "Qiao Ying, what? Do you regret letting those other guys off?" Qiao Yi didn't know if Qiao Ying had violent tendencies or just had eccentric thinking that made her misunderstand what he meant. "No, I mean they won't bother us again, right? We're fine now, aren't we? Mom and Dad won't know either." I said, "Even if you blew this place up today, I could still smooth things over for you. I never make empty boasts." Qiao Yi was quiet for a while, before finally remembering what he wanted to ask. "Sis, do you know our city mayor?" "Not very well." "Then how did he?" "Our esteemed city mayor is happy to help. This is a blessing for the people of Yun City, isn't it? Should she tell him it was on Qin Yuchen's orders?" There was no need to waste time explaining this to someone she wouldn't have future dealings with. "Any other questions?" "Yes. Sis, how are you so good at fighting? When did you learn? How come I never knew?" "There's a lot you don't know. You'll find out in the future." Qiao Yi nodded, as if he understood, and yet didn't. "No more questions." Qiao Yi nodded, then shook his head. "Sis, where are you going on leave?" "To the capital city, to get something." "Go to capital city to get something." Qiao Yi was puzzled. His big sister had never even left Jiangxia district before. How could she have something in capital city? Before Qiao Yi could say anything more, Qiao Ying suddenly bent down to reach for the left leg of his pants. Qiao Yi was shocked for a moment, as if some prohibited area had been touched. His whole body tensed up, and he shot to his feet. He reacted intensely, moving very abruptly, even spilling some of the water from his cup. His whole body became taut. "Sis, what are you doing?" His expression changed as he spoke, and he twisted his body to hide his left foot behind him. In an instant, his whole body bristled, as if what Qiao Ying wanted to touch was not his pant leg, but to strip him. "Let me see your foot," Qiao Ying said directly, her tone as always carrying an arbitrary dominance. That was just her personality. Uncaring of human relationships or propriety, not ingratiating or false. At the slightest disagreement, she liked to use force to shut people up. She was far colder-blooded than the outside world knew. "No need. My foot isn't injured. I want to see the old injury." When Qiao Yi heard this from Qiao Ying, he froze as he looked at her. Ever since becoming disabled, no matter when, Qiao Yi always kept himself bundled up tightly. Even in the hottest summer, drenched in sweat from a broken fan, he still refused to wear shorts above the knee. Even 7/8 pants that revealed his ankles, he never went to the basketball court. Even just passing by outside, he habitually avoided crowds. For Qiao Yi, he would rather be beaten black and blue, bones broken, than have anyone pull up his pant leg. Qiao Yi, who kept his distance from anyone and anything, unexpectedly felt warmth from Qiao Ying, the one person he trusted. But now, he was being asked by the only one he trusted to expose his scars. She clearly knew this was what concerned him most. Qiao Yi felt he couldn't accept this. He frowned, His hands clenched tightly on his pants. For a long time he didn't speak. Seeing the hurt in Qiao Yi's eyes, Qiao Ying also remained silent, just watching him steadily. After a while, Qiao Yi sat down. Wordlessly he pulled up his pant leg, his knuckles white from clenching the fabric so hard. Seeing this, Qiao Ying's eyebrows twitched imperceptibly, even more satisfied with this adopted brother that had fallen into her lap. "It's very ugly, isn't it?" Qiao Yi gritted his teeth, thinking, will it frighten her? Qiao Ying crouched down to take a look, then suddenly reached out to pinch Qiao Yi's calf. Qiao Yi's pupils constricted violently. Before he could think to flee or ask what Qiao Ying intended, he heard her say, "The muscle atrophy isn't too serious yet. It can still be treated." Qiao Yi froze, looking sharply at Qiao Ying, disbelief written all over his face. "What did you say?" "I said I can cure it." Qiao Ying raised her hand to pull his pant leg down further and said, "Do you believe me?" "Qiao Yi," the doctor said, "just say, do you believe me or not?" Qiao Yi looked at Qiao Ying's face, always calm and unruffled, seemingly unfazed even if the sky fell. "I believe you." He didn't believe he could become normal again, but he believed in Qiao Ying. "I'll bring back some medicine from Capital City tomorrow. If the treatment goes smoothly, your leg will be like a normal person's by the end of the year." Qiao Yi stared blankly at Qiao Ying, not showing much reaction outwardly, but a storm already raged in his heart. Feng Teng still didn't feel reassured, so he came in person after all. Although he already knew that the one who helped them was the mayor of Yun City, when he truly saw the high official and public figure appear before his eyes, interacting with Qiao Ying so courteously yet with concern, Qiao Yi still felt it was unbelievable. He was nervous and didn't dare speak casually. Seeing how respectfully Feng Teng treated Qiao Ying, how enthusiastic he was, it was obvious Qiao Ying had lied saying Feng Teng was purely good-hearted. After leaving the school, Feng Teng immediately took out his phone and started making calls. Seeing Feng Teng's name, Qin Yan still couldn't remember who this person was. Fortunately, he had added a few extra notes, mayor of Yun City. Feng Teng didn't dare take credit, purely wanting to increase his presence and goodwill. Like a seasoned politician, he took the initiative to apologize for not taking better care of Qiao Ying. The tactic of retreat as advance was handled skillfully. Qiao Ying was Qin Yukin's life-saving benefactor, and Qin Yukin had specifically urged him to protect her well. So Qin Yan didn't dare take it lightly. As soon as Qin Hanyue was free, he told him about the matter. "She broke their legs?" Qin Hanyue lifted his eyes. This was the first time he'd seen such a fierce girl dare to be so ruthless. "Yes." Qin Yan had the same reaction when he heard about it. "Looks like she knows some kung fu. Otherwise a girl wouldn't have the chance to break a boy's leg." Qin Yan was extremely surprised that Qin Hanyue would chat about this girl, and could only dryly reply, "She probably learned some taekwondo or something." "Qin Hanyue, did she have any message for us this time?" "Shouldn't be." Qin Yan said finished speaking, didn't hurry to walk, but looked at Qin Hanyue, wanted to speak but hesitated. "Qin Hanyue, what do you want to say?" Then lowered his head to look at the file. After thinking about it, Qin Yan said what was on his mind. "Qin, do you think this girl will take advantage of the Qin family and Feng Teng's support for her, and then act unscrupulously?" Qin Hanyue neither coldly nor indifferently asked him in return, "What? Is Yuke's life not worth this price?" Qin Yan was shocked, knowing that he had said the wrong thing, and quickly said, "I didn't mean that, just that. It's the Mountain Water Group today. What about next time? I'm just worried that if we keep helping her clean up the stall, it will have unnecessary effects on you and the Qin family." Qin Hanyue, so you think our Qin family should be ungrateful to the lifesaver? No. Qin Yan didn't dare to speak in fright. She doesn't look like someone who likes to make trouble. Even if she really messes up, do you think I, Qin Hanyue, can't handle it? No matter how smart and bold, she can't make too much waves in a small Yun city. You overestimate her too much. Qin Hanyue glanced at him. Go do your job. The next day, Qiao Ying arrived in the capital city. After leaving the airport, Qiao Ying took a taxi straight to her destination. Mingshan Hall, the nationally renowned Chinese medicine store. Older Ming, who consulted in the store, was a national-level old doctor, a titan in the Chinese medicine field, and had a pivotal status in the entire medical field. As soon as she entered the door, Qiao Ying smelled the familiar smell of medicine. Behind the long counter, there were two huge brown medicine shelves on both sides, with medicines arranged neatly in grids. The pharmacy was large, and a little medicine boy was cutting medicine. Seeing a customer come in, he looked up and asked, "Seeing a doctor or grabbing medicine?" "Grabbing medicine." Qiao Ying took out a prescription. This was the medicine to grab for Qiao Yi. The little medicine boy took it and found that the medicinal properties of several medicines were too strong. So he asked Qiao Ying, "Which doctor wrote the prescription? What is it used to treat?" "To clear blood vessels and activate blood flow," Qiao Ying said randomly. "How old is the patient? What are the symptoms?" The little medicine boy asked again. "Is older Ming not in the store?" Qiao Ying asked back instead. The little medicine boy looked at Qiao Ying, then said, "Wait for me for a moment." Then he took the prescription and went into the innermost tea room. After a while, a middle-aged man in a Zhongshan suit, holding the prescription, walked out. "Is this your prescription?" the middle-aged man asked. Qiao Ying said directly, "Just tell me if you can sell these medicines or not." "Of course I can, but do you know how rare and precious the 200-year-old wild ginseng on your prescription is?" "This is something that money can't buy," the middle-aged man said. "Since I came here, I naturally know that your store has it. Just tell me how much it costs." The middle-aged man smiled, held up one finger, and then opened his entire palm. 15 million for one root. "What do you think? Did you bring enough money?" Qiao Ying looked at the middle-aged man, and her eyes couldn't help but squint slightly. 15 million? This stuff was indeed worth the price. It was just that, is this 15 million older Ming's price or yours? The middle-aged man was not older Ming whom Qiao Ying was looking for. "You don't need to care who priced it. Just say if you can afford it or not." "This is an emergency medicine I need," Qiao Ying said, seeming to remind him of something. "Don't joke with me who buys such expensive medicine, if not for an emergency." The middle-aged man saw that Qiao Ying was no ordinary person. Although dressed ordinarily, her temperament was different. She was obviously from a wealthy family coming out to buy medicine for her family. Qiao Ying glanced at the middle-aged man without answering. Instead, she said to the little medicine boy, "I made an appointment with older Ming." She glanced at the clock on the wall. "Where is he?" "Are you Miss Qiao?" The little medicine boy checked the appointment list. "Yes. Older Ming just received an emergency call on the way here and should be back soon. Do you want to wait for him in the store?" "Okay. Young lady, are you here to buy medicine or see a doctor?" Hearing that Qiao Ying was looking for older Ming, the middle-aged man put down the prescription in his hand, pressed it on the counter with his palm, frowned and asked unhappily, "No need to trouble you. I will buy the medicine from older Ming." "What do you mean by that? Do you think there is a problem with the things I sell or the price?" The middle-aged man thought to himself that he had looked at her wrongly. He didn't expect her to be a poor devil. Qiao Ying glanced at him with a half-smile. "Whether there is a problem or not, you can ask older Ming when he comes back." The middle-aged man immediately changed his expression and threw the prescription in his hand directly to the floor. "Dare to make trouble in my Mingshan Hall." Then he said to the little medicine boy, "Get her out of here for me." Then he turned around and walked inside with his hands behind his back. "Wait." Qiao Ying spoke to stop the man. The middle-aged man looked back over his shoulder. Qiao Ying looked at the prescription on the ground, then said expressionlessly to the middle-aged man, "Pick it up." But the middle-aged man just snorted coldly at her, and then shouted at the little medicine boy again, "What are you still dawdling for? Let the security guard get her out of here for me. If she dares to make trouble, take her to the police station." "What's going on?" At this moment, an authoritative voice sounded at the door. An elder with a graceful temperament and white beard walked in. It was older Ming whom Qiao Ying was looking for. Older Ming's appearance just dispelled Qiao Ying's idea of whether or not to take action in the store in consideration of older Ming's face. "Miss Qiao, Older Ming walked over and looked at Qiao Ying uncertainly, sizing her up in the process. Yes, I came to pick up something and grab some medicine. Seeing that it was really Qiao Ying, Older Ming immediately asked the two security guards behind Qiao Ying, "She's my customer. What are you doing?" The two security guards looked at Older Ming and then at the middle-aged man. Under the hint of the middle-aged man's eyes, the security guards slipped away back to their posts. "I've already prepared what you want. I'll give it to you in a bit." Older Ming patted the back of his assistant, who was carrying an old-fashioned wooden medicine box made of wood. "What medicine do you need to grab?" "Let me grab it for you first." "No need, can't afford it." Qiao Ying smiled bitterly, but her eyes deliberately glanced at the middle-aged man. The latter's face changed slightly as he glared back at Qiao Ying. Older Ming frowned. The prices of Chinese medicines vary greatly, from a few dollars to thousands per dose. Although thousands per dose is indeed expensive for ordinary people, the thing Qiao Ying asked from him was worth nearly 3 million. How could she not be able to afford the medicine? "Do you have a prescription? Let me take a look." "Here." Qiao Ying looked at the ground. Older Ming didn't understand, but followed her gaze. He saw a piece of paper lying quietly on the ground. Older Ming guessed that Qiao Ying might have had an unpleasant encounter with his apprentice just now, and he looked at the middle-aged man with slight annoyance. The middle-aged man lowered his head without saying a word. The assistant picked up the prescription and handed it to Older Ming to read. After reading the prescription, Older Ming's face showed amazement. Holding the prescription, he excitedly asked Qiao Ying, "Who wrote this prescription?" Older Ming had been studying Chinese medicine for decades. This was the first time he knew that these medicines could be combined and used like this. "Sorry, can't say." Older Ming immediately looked disappointed, but he thought this was someone else's stuff, so it was improper for him to ask like that. He could only regretfully put away his curiosity. "You just said you couldn't afford it. Which medicine were you referring to?" "Qiao Ying, the 200-year-old wild ginseng." Upon hearing this, Older Ming immediately held up the prescription and questioned his apprentice and the little medicine boy. "Didn't I say that those 2 wild ginseng roots were for emergencies? If a patient needs them, we provide them for free. How many times have I told you not to take them out to sell?" Qiao Ying was wearing a hoodie with big pockets. She had her hands in her pockets and chuckled lightly. "Free provision? That uncle said it was 15 million per root." "You..." Older Ming was so angry that his hand shook when he heard this. These 2 extremely rare, century-old wild ginseng roots were given to him by a little friend 2 years ago. The stuff was too precious. He didn't dare accept it for free. But the other party simply didn't care at all, and threw the 2 priceless wild ginseng roots away like snacks. At that time, Older Ming had assured the other party that as long as someone needed these 2 wild ginseng roots, he would provide them for free. He would never sell them at high prices to the rich for health preservation. What Older Ming didn't know was that Qiao Ying, who was in front of him at this moment, was the same little friend who had given him the stuff back then. More than 2 years ago, Blood Shadow went on a mission, passed through a deep mountain-old forest, and found these 2 wild ginseng at the entrance of a cave. She felt they were rare, so she took them with her. At that time, she was with a fellow sect member who she had shared life and death experiences with, who was her only trustworthy partner in the Dark Shadow. But that fellow member did not manage to leave alive with her from that mission. Blood Shadow buried the person on the spot. On her way passing the capital city, in a daze, she casually threw the 2 wild ginsengs in Mingshan Hall. Once something was given away, there was no reason to ask for it back. Whether Older Ming sold them, gave them away, or ate them himself had nothing to do with her. Moreover, at that time when Older Ming saw she was not in a good condition, he had voiced his concern. But since she had promised at the beginning to only use them for emergency treatment, if the price Older Ming put on them was one thing he said, and another he actually meant, then after taking these things today, Qiao Ying would never set foot in this Mingshan Hall again. "Go get a ladder and take down the things in the second compartment on the top right for Miss Qiao Ying." Older Ming instructed the young apprentice. "Teacher, let me go get them." The middle-aged man did not know whether he regretted it or wanted to make amends and show goodwill. Older Ming looked at him and softened his heart, nodding his head. The middle-aged man secretly breathed a sigh of relief and quickly took the ladder from the young apprentice's hands, climbed up, opened the compartment, and just as he reached in, he heard older Ming say, "Take both of them down." The middle-aged man hesitated for a moment before agreeing. Older Ming then said to Qiao Ying, "These two 200-year-old wild ginsengs were given to me by a young friend. She is about..." After sizing up Qiao Ying, he kindly smiled and said, "She is about the same age as you, and your personalities are a bit alike too." Then he couldn't help but sigh. It's a pity she hasn't come by for a long time. "Young lady, I feel we have an affinity, so I'll give you both these wild ginsengs for you to take home and use. Get a box and package them up for Miss Qiao Ying." With the two wild ginsengs in his hands, the middle-aged man nimbly packaged them, had the young apprentice bring over a box, and was about to put them in the box. "Wait a minute." At this time, Qiao Ying stopped him. The middle-aged man was shocked and looked up at Qiao Ying with uncertain, murky eyes. "Is there a problem?" "Oh, let me see what these 200-year-old wild ginsengs look like." Qiao Ying held out her hand, asking him for the wild ginsengs. "What? Could there be something wrong with the stuff from our Mingshan Hall? Besides, what would a young girl like you know?" Venomous persimmons spewed from the middle-aged man's eyes. "My teacher is generously giving them to you at no cost, yet you are unappreciative." "Zhuozhong, watch what you say." Older Ming scolded him. "When a customer comes to buy medicine, it's only natural that they can look at and check the medicine," Older Ming said sternly. However, the middle-aged man did not move, still holding on to the wild ginsengs. At this point, how could Older Ming not realize something was wrong? He immediately went up and forcefully snatched the wild ginsengs from the middle-aged man's hands. When he opened and looked, these were clearly just normal, artificially farmed ginseng from the shop. Older Ming was shocked. "Where are my two wild ginsengs?" He questioned the middle-aged man and hurriedly had the young apprentice climb the ladder to check. The result was the compartment was completely empty, with nothing inside. "Older Ming, nothing is here," the young apprentice said. The middle-aged man knelt down with a plop and crawled on his knees to Older Ming, grabbing Older Ming's pants leg with tears streaming down his face. Teacher, it was Zhuozhong's momentary greed. I deserve death. Scold me, hit me." The middle-aged man cried bitterly, extremely regretful. "You?" Older Ming pointed at the middle-aged man, speechless from anger. "Hard to guard against thieves of one's own household. Ah." Older Ming was so angry he raised his palm. "These two wild ginsengs that are hard to find in 100 years, the people we gave them to won't remember our kindness at all. When the other party needed them to save a life, it's only natural that we charge a reasonable medicine fee, isn't it?" You scoundrel." Older Ming trembled with anger, and that slap finally landed heavily on the middle-aged man's face. The middle-aged man fell to the ground, got up and fiercely slapped himself several times, then continued grabbing Older Ming's clothes. "Teacher, you've hit me and scolded me. Just forgive me this once. I swear I'll never dare again." Older Ming pushed him away, pointing to the door. Get out. Get out of Mingshan Hall. Don't let me see you again." Seeing Older Ming's resolute attitude, the remorse and fear in the middle-aged man's eyes instantly disappeared, replaced by cold ruthlessness. He gradually stopped his pleas, looked at Older Ming for a while, then after some time got up and walked out without turning back. Stole things, pocketed money, passed off artificially farmed ginseng as 100-year-old mountain ginseng, damaging Mingshan Hall's 100-year reputation, and just leaving like this, there's no such easy thing in this world. Qiao Ying's indifferent voice sounded, successfully making the middle-aged man stop in his tracks. He glowered viciously at Qiao Ying, warning her, "Little wench, you've no business butting in. If you dare to be foolish again, don't blame me for making you unable to open your mouth ever again." Older Ming had intended to let it be for the sake of master and disciple, to let him leave. But now seeing his lack of remorse, Still full of malice and completely unworthy of being a doctor, he resented his own poor judgment. He called to the security guard at the door. "Stop him, Zhao Liu, call the police." Seeing this, the middle-aged man became afraid. He pushed away the security guard coming in and was about to run. The next second, he was easily apprehended by Cao Ying, who had ghost-like flashed behind him. The middle-aged man was stepped on under Qiao Ying's foot, and after struggling, realized he couldn't get up no matter what. So he started cursing violently and threatening Qiao Ying. Soon the middle-aged man was taken away by the police. "I'm really sorry you had to see such a farce." Older Ming forcefully suppressed his grief and had an assistant bring out the best 2 ginsengs from the store for Qiao Ying. He also gave Qiao Ying the things she wanted. They were acupuncture needles. Qiao Ying took them. They were exactly the same as the set she had used before. The world only knew Dr. Seeley's surgical knife could bring people back from the brink of death, but they didn't know Dr. Seeley's mastery of Chinese medicine and acupuncture technique was equally superb, unfathomable, almost reaching the realm of bringing the dead back to life and flesh back on white bones with a silver needle. "Young lady, could you tell me who your friend is?" Older Ming's grandfather was an excellent blacksmith, but this craft had only been passed down to Older Ming's elderly granduncle. The acupuncture needles sold on the market, compared to those handcrafted by his granduncle, were worlds apart. His granduncle said they were only given to fated people, charging just material costs. Not many knew about his granduncle's skills, and so far he had only gifted a set to that young lady. When he received Cao Ying's call earlier, he still thought it was that young lady on the other end of the phone, but the voice didn't sound the same. Now seeing her, they were clearly 2 different people. "It's who you think it is in your heart," Qiao Ying said. Older Ming did not seem very surprised to hear this, and asked, "Is she doing well?" "Very well." Seeing Older Ming's kind and benevolent face, Qiao Ying thought for a bit and added, "She asked me to visit you in passing." Unexpectedly, Older Ming had an "you can't fool me" expression and lightly snorted. She wouldn't do that. Although they had only met a few times, Older Ming could tell that young lady was not one to easily care about others. Qiao Ying didn't say anything more, took the medicine and needles, and left. "You wait here. I'm going to get the car," said the young assistant, carrying bags and bags towards the underground parking lot. Zhang Chengyong walked out of the mall alone with his hands behind his back and headed for the entrance. Qiao Ying, who had just left Mingshan Hall with a large bag of Chinese herbal medicine, was about to take a taxi to the booked hotel when she saw a crowd of people gathered at the entrance of the mall ahead. Hearing someone in the onlooking crowd shouting, "The man is dying. Whose old man is this? Where are his children? How could he be allowed to go out alone if he's sick? Someone call 120 for help." Qiao Ying looked through the crowd and saw an old man lying on the ground with a painful expression. She made her way through the crowd and went up. The old man was lying stiffly on the ground, his fingers claw-like, occasionally twitching. His facial muscles were also beginning to gradually stiffen, and the corners of his mouth were also tilted. These were the symptoms of a stroke. "Please give him some space and let the air circulate," Qiao Ying said calmly, putting down what was in her hands and squatting down. "Young lady, if you're not his family, you can't just touch him randomly. If something goes wrong, it could cost a life," someone said. Qiao Ying ignored them, opened the old man's lower eyelid to take a look, then put 2 fingers on his pulse. "Oh, the young lady is a doctor. No doctor can be that young. She must be a medical student, right, to diagnose and needle at such a young age. She's got guts. It looks like he's having a stroke. That's no small matter. My old man had a stroke from a fall and was paralyzed." After the diagnosis, Qiao Ying took out an acupuncture kit from her bag. The onlookers had wanted to stop Qiao Ying from touching the old man randomly, but upon seeing that she knew medicine, they didn't say anything more. But when they saw Qiao Ying take out a long, slender silver needle, they cried out in shock. Seeing the needle about to pierce the old man's head, a muscular man who worked out a lot suddenly felt a strong sense of justice and reached out to stop her. "What are you doing?" Qiao Ying easily dodged his hand, and the silver needle flashed as it pierced the Baihui acupoint on the old man's head. The crowd cried out again in shock, and many recoiled in fear, worried that something might happen to implicate them if the old man met with any mishap. The muscular man reached out again to stop her when he saw the needle had pierced the old man and Qiao Ying was about to insert a second needle. Though well-meaning, Qiao Ying found him a nuisance. So when he reached for her again, Qiao Ying turned the silver needle in her hand and jabbed the webbed skin between his thumb and index finger. Qiao Ying was so fast that no one saw clearly what had happened. They only heard the man cry out in pain inexplicably, and his arm went limp as if the tendons had been cut. The man held his numb, painful arm and cried out in anguish. His face filled with shock, successfully scaring the onlookers to retreat several more steps back. What? What did the young lady just do to that man? She doesn't seem to be messing around. Can someone so young really be so skilled in the needle arts? Acupuncture is not as simple as a hypodermic injection with Western medicine. I saw she had a bag from Ming Shan Hall. Could she be older Ming's disciple? I've seen older Ming needle people before. He's not as casual about it as she is. If something goes wrong here, it would be big trouble. Young people these days are too arrogant. As the crowd discussed animatedly and pointed at Qiao Ying, upon closer look, they realized there were already more than a dozen needles inserted into the old man's head and limbs. Together with the muscular man crying painfully beside them, the scene made them secretly apprehensive. Quite a few of them shook their heads inwardly, thinking the young lady was going to get into big trouble. No one noticed the old man's expression had eased up until his twisted mouth started to regain its normal shape. Hey, look, his mouth isn't skewed anymore. Then, to everyone's amazement, the old man's rigid limbs slowly softened, and he was soon able to clench his fists and move his legs. The excruciating headache gradually subsided, and Zhang Chengyong opened his eyes to see a focused young girl squatting in front of him. Young lady, oh, he can speak. He can speak. The onlookers who had backed away quickly gathered around again. This young lady is too amazing. He was clearly about to have a stroke, but after a few needles, he's fine. Everyone gave Qiao Ying a thumbs up. A few minutes later, Qiao Ying started removing the needles, starting with the first one at Bai Hui on the head, and put all the needles away neatly. Then she said to the old man, "Lie down for 3 more minutes before getting up." She then walked towards the muscular man, who was still clutching his arm in pain, his screams having made his voice hoarse. The onlookers watched as the girl lightly poked the man's neck with the slender silver needle, and he instantly quieted down, as if nothing had happened. This made the crowd cry out in amazement once more. Their gaze on Qiao Ying went from doubtful to amazed and respectful. The young assistant squeezed through the crowd and was shocked to see Zhang Chengyong lying on the ground. He quickly went to check on him, Principal Zhang. As Zhang Chengyong emerged from the brink of the excruciating headache, the assistant helped him up and told him to call Qiao Ying back before she walked too far away. Qiao Ying turned around, her expression a little cold. What is it? She reflexively assumed the assistant who didn't know the situation was trying to scam her. In the end, Qiao Ying got into the old man's car and went to his house. The old man warmly welcomed Qiao Ying and looked very spirited, showing no signs of having just suffered a serious ailment and nearly had a stroke. Once home, he immediately told the housekeeper to prepare more dishes. On the way, the assistant had learned what happened, but he didn't trust that someone as young as Qiao Ying could have such medical skills and daring with the needles, so after serving her tea, he tried to persuade the old man to go to the hospital for a checkup. The old man looked fine now, but who knows if some problem might appear later. No need. No need. I know my own body best. I feel great now, Zhang Chengyong said, thumping his chest. But the assistant kept insisting, so Zhang Chengyong frowned and successfully got him to shut up. Seeing this, Qiao Ying didn't bother to explain verbally either. She took the pen and paper from the table and wrote a prescription. Take this to older Ming at Ming Shan Hall to have it filled. After looking it over, Zhang Chengyong asked Qiao Ying, "Young lady, what's your relationship with older Ming? I've never heard he took on any female disciples." Qiao Ying, just a friend. Friend? Zhang Chengyong couldn't help but widen his eyes, his voice rising a few degrees. He was shocked that someone so young could be friends with older Ming. The assistant who hadn't witnessed Qiao Ying's needling thought she was boasting, and even suspected she might be a scammer. All right, this old man thanks you. Zhang Qingyong put away the prescription. Young lady, are you from around here? You look so young, still in school, right? What grade are you in? Which school? Grade 12, in Yun City. Still in 12th grade? To have such medical skills and courage with the needles at such a young age, the younger generation is really something. Zhang Chengyong said admiringly of Qiao Ying. You're from Yun City, so what brings you to the capital? Today isn't a weekend. Came to buy some things from older Ming. Qiao Ying answered matter-of-factly. Zhang Chengyong glanced at the large bag of Chinese medicine on the table. The college entrance exam is coming up soon. Have you decided where you want to go? Zhang Chengyong's eyes lit up eagerly. He was looking at her like she was some treasure. The medical school at Capital University? Are you interested? Zhang Chengyong asked. If Principal Zhang knew the young lady before him was the answerer he had asked Qin Hanyue to desperately look for, he would surely regret recruiting her for the medical school. Just say the word, and I'll call the president right away. I appreciate your kindness. Hearing Qiao Ying's refusal, Zhang Chengyong was extremely surprised. But Qiao Ying's next words made him appreciate her even more. He heard Qiao Ying say, I can test into capital U myself. As they were talking, a black Mercedes-Benz with the license plate Jing A000 stopped outside the yard. The car door opened, and a black leather shoe stepped onto the ground. The man was tall and well-built, dressed in a suit with a crisp silhouette and chiseled features both cold and alluring. Principal Zhang, Master Qin is here. The young assistant hurried in to inform Zhang Chengyong. Sitting with her back to the door, Qiao Ying raised a brow slightly. Qin Hanyue, a man dressed in formal attire, strode through the courtyard, his steps echoing the coolness of the evening. He entered through the gate. As he met the gaze of Principal Zhang, he nodded slightly, positioning himself to the right and behind Qiao Ying. As the man approached, Qiao Ying, who was sitting with her back to him on the sofa, felt the shadow of his tall figure press down on her. A rare visitor indeed. What brings you here today? Did you finally find the elusive mathematical genius I've been searching for? Principal Zhang, always concerned about the genius who refused to show himself, asked. Just met a client nearby and decided to drop by to see you, old man, Qin Hanyue said. He instructed Qin Yan to hand the things he had brought to Principal Zhang's assistant and added, if I remember correctly, it's your granddaughter's birthday next week, so I brought a small gift. Well, how thoughtful of you. Zhang Chengyong nodded approvingly. Do you have a guest, old man? Qin Hanyue glanced at the motionless girl on the sofa. Zhang Chengyong immediately shook his head and corrected him with a serious expression. This is not a guest. She's the savior of this old man's life. A savior? Qin Hanyue couldn't help but glance at her again. Zhang Chengyong continued, Please have a seat and let's talk. Qin Hanyue took a few steps forward and sat down next to Zhang Chengyong. He sat with a relaxed and casual posture, exuding an air of elegance and nobility. His long legs habitually crossed, displaying the presence of a long-standing figure of authority. When Qin Hanyue raised his eyes and saw the girl's face across from him, he felt a slight astonishment. It was her. Wasn't she the young girl who saved his nephew? Qin Yan also stared blankly, feeling that Qiao Ying looked familiar. Qin Hanyue carefully compared her appearance to the day he saw her through the car window. She had lost weight since then, but he recognized her without a doubt. However, wasn't this young girl in the distant Yun City just yesterday? And didn't she break a boy's leg? How did she end up in the capital city today, sitting in his teacher's house? Embarrassingly, he had just said yesterday that a young girl in small Yun City couldn't stir up any waves, and now she had come to the capital city. Qiao Ying met the man's gaze without evasion. At the moment their eyes met, Qin Hanyue thought, it seems she recognizes me. He wondered how she would react upon seeing him. To Qin Hanyue's surprise, the girl showed no reaction at all. She looked at him with the gaze of a stranger, disinterested and indifferent, then picked up the water on the table and took a sip. It was a normal reaction to seeing a stranger, but not completely normal. It lacked a bit of courtesy and restraint. Qin Hanyue found it hard to read her. Qin Yan had arranged for someone to secretly protect this young girl, but she had exposed them and even said the Qin family spent all their money on bodyguards. If this didn't prove that she knew about their Qin family and Qin Yukon, then Qin Yan had helped her out twice and she should have known. But she acted as if she didn't recognize them at all. Qin Hanyue rested his hand on his leg, tapping his fingers rhythmically. Qiao Ying's gaze was drawn to that hand. The man had large palms, well-defined joints, long and slender fingers, and faint veins on the back of his hand. And on the first joint of his index finger, there was a small mole, adding a touch of irresistible allure to his handsome hand. It was exactly like what she had seen on the computer screen that night. Qiao Ying slowed down her drinking motion, her gaze pausing for a moment on the mole on Qin Hanyue's hand. And then she looked up, carefully comparing it to the man's chest and waist. Qiao Ying's bold gaze caught Qin Hanyue's attention, so he followed her line of sight and lowered his eyes to his own body. It was him. Qiao Ying confirmed that the second person who invaded Qiao Yi's phone that night was the man in front of her right now, Qin Hanyue. It was a bit unexpected. The chairman of the Qin group was also a skilled computer expert. What are those eyes looking at? Qin Yan wondered in his heart. He knew his boss was good-looking, and not just women, even men were envious. But was she being too bold? The girl seemed to lack restraint. Qin Hanyue didn't mind. He withdrew his gaze and asked the teacher, "You just said this young lady is your lifesaver. What happened?" Zhang Chengyong briefly explained the situation. "I just went out to buy a birthday gift for my granddaughter, and then my old ailment flared up. I almost didn't recover. Thanks to this girl, she gave me a few shots. If it weren't for meeting this girl, this old man of mine would have been in danger this time." "Shots?" Qin Hanyue glanced at the big bag of herbs on Qiao Ying's desk with the words Mingshan Hall. "Do you understand acupuncture?" Qin Hanyue asked Qiao Ying. A little bit. Intuitively, Qiao Ying didn't want to have too much involvement with this seemingly polite but actually dangerous man. She knew he was definitely not a simple businessman. "Qin Hanyue, my surname is Qin. How should I address you?" Zhang Chengyong slapped his thigh. "Oh, look at my forgetful mind. I've been forgetting to ask the young lady for her name." "Qiao Ying, Qiao as in Qiao Mu, Ying as in shadow," Qiao Ying replied. Qin Yan was a bit confused when he saw Qiao Ying's face. His thoughts and Qin Hanyue's were almost the same, wondering how Qiao Ying, who was supposed to be in Yun City, suddenly appeared in the capital and inexplicably became Principal Zhang's lifesaver. Qin Yan suspected that he had made a mistake, and besides, Qiao Ying looked thinner than the last time he saw her. There are similar people in the world. It wasn't until Qiao Ying said her own name that Qin Yan was certain it was the same person. He looked at Qiao Ying, then at Qin Hanyue, who was talking to her, apparently wanting to say a few words. "Nice name." Zhang Chengyong liked Qiao Ying more and more as he looked at her. He smiled and praised her to Qin Hanyue. "Don't judge this young lady by her age. She has medical skills and courage." Zhang Chengyong raised his thumb. "Impressive. Her future is boundless." In today's society, people's hearts are unpredictable. But Miss Qiao dared to help someone who had nothing to do with her, and a patient at that. "She truly has a kind heart," Qin Hanyue hinted, reminding her of the night she saved Qin Yukon, testing her intentions. Unexpectedly, Qiao Ying didn't follow the script but responded with, "Not many people have complimented me like this." Zhang Chengyong had no idea about the situation and continued enthusiastically introducing Qin Hanyue to Qiao Ying. "This is the chairman of Qin Group. Despite his young age, he is highly skilled in business. He is also my proudest student. When you get into Capital University, make sure to address him as senior brother." Qin Hanyue asked, "Miss Qiao, are you studying? Are you preparing to take the entrance exam for Capital University?" Whether Qiao Ying truly didn't recognize him or was pretending not to, Qin Hanyue had no intention of reminding her or exposing himself. "Do you have any good suggestions, Mr. Qin?" Qiao Ying casually asked. Qin Hanyue smiled faintly and shook his head. "Capital University is excellent. I wish you success in your exams, Miss Kiao. Kiao Ying responded indifferently. Thank you. Miss, have you ever considered the School of Medicine at Capital University? With your abilities and qualifications, you will undoubtedly achieve great success in the medical field and make a significant contribution. Zhang Chengyong, who wanted to contribute to the School of Medicine, didn't want to miss such a promising talent. Kiao Ying didn't answer immediately. At this moment, Qin Hanyue asked, Do you have any preferred major, Miss Kiao? Mathematics or medicine? After giving it some thought, Qiao Ying replied, Computer science is good. Zhang Chengyong's face was filled with pain and disbelief. Computer science? There are plenty of job opportunities in computer science. If you are interested after graduation, you can come to my company. We are currently in need of technical personnel, Qin Hanyue said, purely showing gratitude to Qin Yukin. Work for Qin Group? Qiao Ying arched her eyebrows uncontrollably, thinking to herself, what kind of threshold does Qin Group have? Any identity she casually revealed would be no worse than Qin Hanyue, the chairman of Qin Group. Work for him? Not interested, Qiao Ying said directly. Ignorant, Qin Yan thought to himself. She lacks emotional intelligence. He had no idea how polite Qiao Ying's response was. If Yi Si were here, he would burst into laughter and retort on behalf of Qiao Ying. Let the renowned blood shadow work for you. Are you sleepwalking in broad daylight? Qin Hanyue didn't care at all, and instead had a little appreciation for Qiao Ying. He was very polite and said, I'm sorry for my abruptness. You're not being abrupt. You're being bold to the point of daydreaming. Qiao Ying silently complained to himself, then stood up and said, I won't eat anymore. We can eat together next time there's a chance. The food's already been made. Zhang Chengyong stood up as well, busy asking, Are you in a hurry to get back to Yuncheng? Yeah. Qiao Ying didn't explain further. The only reason she had agreed to Zhang Chengyong's enthusiastic invitation was because of his identity. When she heard the young assistant outside the mall entrance call him Principal Zhang, she had guessed Zhang Chengyong's identity. She didn't care about herself, she just wanted to pave the way for Qiao Yi, who would also be taking the Capital University entrance exam in the future. So she took this opportunity to get acquainted with the principal of Capital University, which wasn't a bad thing. But this meal, she subtly glanced at Qin Hanyue. Well, since you're in a hurry, I won't force you to stay either. Can I get your contact information? No need. I'll definitely attend Capital University in September. See you then. After Qiao Ying finished speaking, she declined Zhang Chengyong's offer to see her off, picked up her things and left. Qiao Ying's composure and confidence that seeped from her bones gave Zhang Chengyong a great impression. Even though his offer to see her off was declined, Zhang Chengyong still had his assistant escort her out. Qin Hanyue watched Qiao Ying leave for a while. Lowering his eyes, he discovered the prescription on the table. He reached out and picked it up. The words on the paper flowed like a dragon or snake, smooth as flowing clouds and water. The handwriting looked a little familiar. Qin Hanyue asked, This is... Zhang Chengyong looked over. It's the prescription the young lady wrote for me. Qin Hanyue held the prescription and looked at it for a moment, then put it down and stood up. Seeing him stand up and tidy up his clothes, Zhang Chengyong asked, What? Are you leaving too? Not keeping this old man company for a meal? Some other day, I'll go deliver her on your behalf. Qin Hanyue finished speaking and headed out. Deliver who? Zhang Chengyong was puzzled. Just then the assistant came over with a phone. Principal Zhang, the school called. Zhang Chengyong took the phone and held it to his ear. He heard the other end excitedly tell him, Old Zhang, come quick. That genius who was answering questions on the forum has shown up at our school right now. When Qiao Ying left, she saw the black Maybach parked at the door. After walking a few steps, she suddenly stopped and doubled back to walk around behind the car to check the license plate. Beijing A000, the Was the person in the car that day Qin Hanyue? Or was it Qin Yukin? Or were both of them there? Qiao Ying clearly felt the people in the car watching her at the time, so she was certain they had deliberately come to her neighborhood because of her that day. Qiao Ying left carrying her things. She hadn't gone very far when the black Maybach stopped next to her before she could even hail a taxi. Qin Yan jumped out of the driver's seat, opened the back door, and said to Qiao Ying, "Miss Qiao, my boss wants to give you a ride on Principal Zhang's behalf. Please get in the car." Qiao Ying looked at Qin Yan, then looked inside the car. All she could see in her line of vision were the man's slender trouser legs and the shiny black leather shoes below the pant legs. After thinking for a moment, Qiao Ying handed her large bag of medicine to Qin Yan. Qin Yan was caught off guard and hurriedly took hold of it. He watched as Qiao Ying got directly into the car and thought, "She's really not standing on ceremony." Qin Yan closed the door for her, then put the large bag of stuff in the passenger seat. "Be gentle with it. The stuff wasn't cheap," Qiao Ying reminded. If she hadn't been broke, Qiao Ying definitely wouldn't have taken those 2 ginseng roots worth 3 million from older Ming. She could only make it up to him after she had money again in the future. Got it. That was what Qin Yan said. But what he thought was, how expensive could it be? Qin Yan got in the car and asked, "Miss Qiao, where to?" "Qiao Ying, Yinghao Hotel." "Yinghao Hotel? She's really willing to spend money. Even the lowest nightly rate there is 100,000 yuan. She must have spent almost all of the 100,000 yuan that young Master Qin Yuchen gave her," Qin Yan thought to himself. Then he asked, "Picking up luggage?" Qiao Ying had just said at Principal Zhang's that she was hurrying back to Yuncheng, so Qin Yan assumed Qiao Ying would say the airport or train station. Yeah. Qiao Ying was too lazy to explain further. After all, she didn't expect Qin Hanyue to be so free that he would send her to the hotel to get her luggage and then nicely drive her to the airport afterwards. However, Qin Hanyue saw through Qiao Ying's perfunctory response. Qin Yan started the engine, and the black Maybach gradually merged into traffic. Did Miss Qiao make a special trip to the capital to buy so much medicine for a sick family member? Qin Hanyue took the initiative to strike up a conversation. "I guess so. That medicine was bought for my brother to soak his feet in." Soak his feet. Qin Yan's facial features twitched uncontrollably. He couldn't help but glance sideways at the large bag of Chinese herbs next to him. Expensive medicine for soaking feet. And what was with the "I guess so"? Was someone sick or not? Just soaking for fun? Principal Zhang's illness is a chronic problem, hereditary migraines. Older Ming from Mingshan Hall used to give him acupuncture treatments to alleviate it, but that could only treat the symptoms, not the root cause. From what Principal Zhang said earlier, it seems Miss Qiao has some expertise in acupuncture and considerable medical skills. For Miss Qiao to have such accomplishments at such a young age is truly remarkable. I wonder if Miss Qiao is self-taught in these medical techniques and acupuncture, or self-taught, just fooling around. She dared to acupuncture people just by fooling around and even cured them? Either she was a genius being modest, or she was bluffing, Qin Yan thought. Qin Hanyue, of course, could tell that Qiao Ying didn't want to talk to him much, but today he chose to be impolite for once, so he continued asking, "Miss Qiao must be a high school senior, right? May I ask if you're in sciences or humanities? Are you very interested in computers?" Unexpectedly, Qiao Ying shot back at him. "Is Mr. Qin very interested in me?" Qiao Ying rested her elbow on the window, her hand propping up the side of her head. She looked at Qin Hanyue with a seemingly smiling, yet not smiling expression. Her entire being exuded a kind of indescribable laziness and nonchalance, yet also had a prickly sharpness to it, giving off a feeling of hidden barbs. Her tone deliberately carried some flirtatiousness. Up front, driving, Qin Yan almost choked on his own saliva. Did the boss just get teased by a young girl? No, given her tone, the boss was clearly getting hit on. Qin Hanyue gave a wry laugh. Previously, he had heard his nephew Qin Yukin say many times that this girl was very special, but Qin Hanyue had felt that Qin Yukin had rose-colored glasses for Qiao Ying. Now it seemed that he had been too superficial. This girl really was special, although it's a bit abrupt. If I said yes, would Miss Qiao answer my questions? Qin Hanyue looked at her. As the outside world's impression of him, Qin Hanyue was exactly the same, cultured, gentlemanly, and polite. But at the same time, the outside world also spread that he was cruel and sinister, with vicious methods. Even the Qin group's businesses were half legitimate, half underground, especially abroad. The corners of Qiao Ying's mouth turned up slightly as she spat out two words. No way. Then she added, but I want to hear you ask. Oh? Qin Hanyue's voice turned low and magnetic, the drawn-out hum at the end seductively beguiling. I'm curious how many questions you have about me in your mind. How could Qiao Ying not sense that Qin Hanyue was probing her? What exactly was Qin Hanyue suspicious about concerning her? Had he just found out that she had saved Qin Yuken? Or did he also recognize that she was the one he had confronted that night? Even if he did recognize her, she was just a hacker. Why would the esteemed chairman of Qin Group go through so much trouble? Or was the Qin Group really lacking in tech personnel? Qin Hanyue hadn't expected Qiao Ying to ask directly. At this moment, the sky had already darkened outside. The interior lights of the car were off, and the dim compartment was lit only by passing streetlights. The two looked at each other, their gazes meeting. The atmosphere suddenly became sharp. Just then, at a red light, the car stopped. Immediately, the interior flooded with light. Qin Yan had turned on the light. Both people's features were instantly illuminated clearly and brightly, with nothing left to hide. Up front, Qin Yan sensed something off, but before he could turn to look, a Lamborghini sports car pulled up next to them like a swift arrow, the screeching brake sound especially grating. The sports car was also blasting loud heavy metal music. Qin Yan frowned, glanced at the sports car next to them, and happened to meet eyes with the owner. Qin Yan didn't get a good look before withdrawing his gaze. Suddenly the music stopped. Qin Yan thought, finally his eardrums could rest. But instead, he heard excited shouting coming from the sports car next to them. Hey, hey, hey. Qin Yan looked again to see the sports car owner waving at them excitedly. No, he seemed to be waving at Qiao Ying. Was this her friend? Qin Yan glanced back at Qiao Ying. Hey, it's me. Me. Seeing Qiao Ying ignore him, the sports car owner anxiously leaned halfway out the car. Only then did Qin Yan realize that wasn't this the precious grandson of the Huo family's old master Huo, young master Huo Chengdong. Do Qiao Ying and Huo Chengdong know each other? Your friend? Qin Hanyue's voice rang out as he asked. Qiao Ying's car window was open. She glanced at Huo Chengdong, who was so excited he could barely keep from jumping out of the car. It's me, do you remember me? Huo Chengdong couldn't believe he would run into Qiao Ying in the capital city. Don't know you. Qiao Ying silently retracted her hand that had been resting on the open window, then rolled up the car window. Hey, last time in Yuncheng, you won 3 million from me. Do you still remember? Huo Chengdong pointed at his own face, which he believed to be very recognizable, and shouted at the rising car window. The passenger side window wasn't completely closed, leaving quite a gap, so Qin Yan in the car could hear Huo Chengdong's words very clearly. His eyes immediately widened involuntarily. 3 million? He couldn't help but turn his head back to glance at Qiao Ying, who had a completely nonchalant expression, as if he didn't even recognize Huo Chengdong at all. Qiao Ying won 3 million from young Master Huo. Got the wrong person, right? Qin Yan, who usually had little curiosity now for the first time, felt a strong urge to gossip, and it was particularly strong. Huo Chengdong was anxious. Ignoring the honking of the cars behind him, he forcibly reversed his car back a little. Just as he reached out to knock on Qiao Ying's car window, the traffic light turned green at that moment, and the black Maybach slammed the gas and drove away. Hey, damn! Huo Chengdong was so angry that he started cursing and didn't notice the man in the black Maybach. He muttered in puzzlement. No, it was her. Why is she ignoring me? Didn't she recognize me? Although Qiao Ying had become much thinner and prettier, when he first saw her, he didn't dare to recognize her either. But Huo Chengdong was certain that the girl in the car was the one who had raced against him in a shabby Honda in Yuncheng before, and won. Huo Chengdong clicked his tongue in annoyance. He was in a very bad mood, and when he heard the constant honking from the cars behind, he turned his head and yelled angrily, "Beep, beep, beep, your mom's beep. Do you believe I'll smash your damn car later?" The black Maybach stopped at the entrance of the Inho Hotel. Before Qiao Ying could get out of the car, she heard the man next to her say, "Miss Chow, if you don't mind, my assistant can go up with you to get your luggage. I'll take you to the airport later." Qiao Ying smiled perfunctorily. "Mr. Qin is very enthusiastic. Qin Hanyue, it's only right." "No need, I'm staying here tonight, leaving tomorrow," Qiao Ying said, no longer pretending with him. Unexpectedly, Qin Hanyue didn't look surprised at all. On the contrary, he climbed further. "Then can I invite Miss Chow to have a meal?" "I'm on a diet." Qin Hanyue smiled and had to let it go. Qiao Ying got out of the car and took the large bag of medicine from Qin Yan's hand, only to see Qin Hanyue get out of the car from the other side and come to her. The man was at least 1.9 meters tall, more than a head taller than Qiao Ying. He held out a black gold business card clipped between his slender fingers. "Miss Qiao, if you need any help, please feel free to contact me." It was exceptionally difficult to obtain one of Qin Hanyue's business cards. Qiao Ying looked at the business card for a while, then glanced up at Qin Hanyue and said, "Since it's Mr. Qin's kind intention, I won't decline." She took the card and turned to enter the hotel. On the ride back, Qin Yan said, "Young master, the one in the sports car just now was young master Huo Chengdong from the Huo family." The man in the back seat had his fingers interlocked and his eyes closed, resting. After a long pause, Qin Yan finally heard the man slowly reply, Qin Yan wanted to say something more, but seeing that the man in the rearview mirror had his eyes closed tightly, he had to swallow back all the doubts and curiosity in his belly. The next morning, Qiao Ying boarded the plane back to Yuncheng. At the same time in Beijing University. "Hey, have you heard? That genius mathematician on the forums who is even more amazing than Professor Xu showed up at our school yesterday." "Really? Where did you hear that? How come I didn't hear anything about it? Is that reliable?" "Absolutely true. The vice president received them in person, and soon the president came over too. He was so excited. I heard that the mystery forum user was found, and it's a pretty girl. The key point is, she's only in high school." "High school? Damn, that's too amazing. And I heard she only took 2 months to solve the problem that had plagued Professor Xu for half a year. Shouldn't the TV stations come interview her? Anyway, our school's press club already went. As expected, outstanding people excel in every aspect. Still in high school, still a pretty girl. My God, is my Professor Xu going to be snatched away? No. At this time, in an elegant and quiet cafe on campus, Xu Zhiyi, who rarely left his lab, was leisurely sitting here drinking coffee. And the girl sitting across from Xu Zhiyi had a melon seed face, a small upturned nose, long black hair, and was dressed in a white dress. This ladylike outfit concealed quite well the innate sharpness in the corners of the girl's eyes. The girl was Qiao Lingling. "The draft really can't be found," Xu Zhiyi asked Qiao Lingling to confirm again unwillingly. Qiao Lingling shook her head. "Sorry, there were too many drafts piled up at home, taking up space, so I threw them all away. I have an unreasonable request, since you've already been admitted to Peking University and don't need to take the college entrance exam. Can you stay and rewrite a detailed solution process using your problem-solving approach? The school needs it to teach students, and I need it very much too." Qiao Lingling looked troubled, and indeed was troubled. "Let me think about it. The workload is too big. It took me a full 2 months to solve this problem. It really exhausted me. Don't laugh at me, Professor Xu, but now when I see this question, I have an adverse physiological reaction." Qiao Lingling, who had just obtained her guaranteed admission to Peking University yesterday as a future student, now addressed Xu Zhiyi as Professor Xu. "Xu Zhi, I understand. I'll wait for your reply." Qiao Lingling secretly breathed a sigh of relief and looked for topics to chat with Xu Zhi about. "Does Professor Xu have any hobbies or interests?" "I'm only interested in mathematics. Other than eating and sleeping, I spend most of my time in the lab." Isn't that very dull and tiring? How could it be? I like mathematics. Xu Ji then asked in return, do you find mathematics dull and boring? Qiao Lingling quickly said, of course not. I love math just like you, Professor Xu. Professor Xu, do you have a gur? Qiao Lingling looked at Xu Ji's handsome face, her heart thumping rapidly, blushing shyly. Just as she was about to ask what was on her mind, Xu Ji opposite her finished his coffee in 2 gulps and said, I have a question that I haven't been able to find a better solution for yet. Could you help me take a look? Me? Qiao Lingling was startled. Yes, you're better than me. You must have a better approach to solving it. Would that be convenient? I, Qiao Lingling, feeling guilty with a thief's heart, was stunned for a moment. How could she possibly be better than Xu Ji? Qiao Lingling was well aware of how she obtained her guaranteed admission to Peking University, how she came to have the reputation for being a mathematical genius even more amazing than Xu Ji, and how she was able to sit here drinking coffee with the Xu Ji she admired and loved. Qiao Lingling gulped guiltily, somewhat flustered. She anxiously tried to think of a suitable excuse. Is it inconvenient? Xu Ji asked. No, it's not inconvenient. It's just… Before Qiao Lingling could find an excuse, the server carrying a tray accidentally tripped next to her, spilling orange juice all over her. Qiao Lingling screamed as she stood up, looking at her ruined white dress. She was furious. You. She was about to curse loudly. Xu Ji, are you okay? Xu Ji's voice made Qiao Lingling shut her mouth in time. She immediately put back on that gentle and considerate expression and said to the server who kept apologizing and using napkins to wipe her, I'm fine. How about you? Didn't trip, did you? I'm really sorry. It wasn't on purpose. How much was the dress? I'll compensate you. The server kept apologizing. Compensate? Can a shabby server like you afford it? Qiao Lingling yelled viciously in her heart, but said graciously and magnanimously on the surface, It's fine. Don't worry. I can just wash it when I get back. After this commotion, Xu Ji couldn't ask Qiao Lingling for help either. Distressed about her dress, Qiao Lingling secretly rejoiced that she had dodged this bullet. As soon as she returned to the hotel, Qiao Lingling frantically washed the dress. But no matter how she washed it, she couldn't wash away the stains. She was so angry that she threw the dress in the trash can. Li Lilian was heartbroken and crying tears of blood. Yesterday, as soon as they got off the train, the two went to the shopping mall first. In order for her daughter to look presentable, Li Lilian had spent a lot of money to buy this dress, a whole 1,800 yuan, and it was only worn for 1 day. Li Lilian picked up the dress and swore angrily. Where's my notebook? Qiao Yi was looking for his notebook, but couldn't find it no matter what. He would never have thought that his notebook had been stolen away to Beijing by Qiao Lingling. Just then the door opened, and it was Cao Ying, who had been to Beijing for 2 days. Sis, you're back. Qiao Yi said, happily surprised. What's this? Qiao Yi took the large parcel handed to him by Qiao Ying and smelled a strong odor of Chinese medicine. He quickly opened it to take a look. And sure enough, it was medicine, and the Mingshan Hall, 3 characters on the bag, also gave Qiao Yi more hope. He could hardly conceal his excitement as he looked at Qiao Ying. Qiao Ying told him how to decoct the medicine, which ones were for drinking and which were for soaking feet. Qiao Yi carefully took notes. Remember, soak your feet above your knees. Just soak the left foot. Keep the water temperature as high as you can tolerate. Cover the bucket with a towel while soaking so the medicinal effect doesn't dissipate. Soak for half an hour each time. Sis, this medicine must be expensive, right? It's acceptable. The 2 ginseng roots were a bit expensive, but she didn't pay for them either. The injured part of your left foot hasn't undergone muscle necrosis yet. Soak it for a while first, and I'll apply acupuncture to you later. Acupuncture? You'll know when the time comes, Qiao Ying said, and took her acupuncture kit back to her room first. Qiao Yi put his homework aside and carefully took out 2 doses of medicine from the bag to the kitchen. Smelling the fragrant medicinal aroma coming out, Qiao Yi's fair face flushed slightly with excitement. He looked forward to the day his foot could walk normally again. Just thinking about it made his heartbeat become irregular. At this moment, probably no one could understand his mood. The hopeful Qiao Yi was a changed person compared to his former silent, gloomy self who was a loner at school and would sit at his desk all day long. Although he was as good-looking as the school hunk Xu Mingchen, he had always been ignored at school. In other people's mouths, Qiao Yi was the cripple in Class 1, or the crippled top student in Class 1 at best. Until the fight with the son of the Shanshui Group president a few days ago. The unknown Qiao Yi became the second person after Qiao Ying that all the teachers and students in the school knew about. Qiao Ying had been away these 2 days, and Qiao Yi was all his classmates talked about. Did you hear that? Chen Huanlin transferred schools. Transferred schools? Why? Weren't the other students who fought just made to write self-criticisms? Besides, isn't his family very rich? Why did he need to transfer schools? Did he go to a better school? I heard that Chen Huanlin's parents brought several bodyguards to the principal's office that day, while Qiao Yi was alone. Everyone thought Qiao Yi was done for, but guess what? Chen Huanlin was carried away on a stretcher in the end. Wasn't he not seriously injured? Or did something else happen in the principal's office? I heard that later Qiao Ying went to the principal's office, that Qiao Ying who got us a new principal. Who would have thought that Qiao Yi turns out to be Qiao Ying's younger brother? That cripple is Qiao Ying's brother? How dare you still call him a cripple? If it still didn't prove how extraordinary Qiao Ying was when the underachiever transformed into an even more formidable top student than Xu Mingchen, forced the principal to publicly apologize to the whole school, and got him fired in the end. Then this time Qiao Ying's younger brother Qiao Yi fought with the Shanshui Group president's son, and in the end Qiao Yi didn't even get punished or made to write self-criticism while the rich and powerful Chen Huanlin was forced to transfer schools. It made people have to believe that Qiao Ying really had a powerful background. And today, as Qiao Yi walked around the school, he attracted even more attention from the girls. Many noticed that he was in a good mood today. Although they didn't see him smile or actively speak to anyone, they could clearly feel his gaze was different than before. I've just realized Qiao Yi is just as good-looking as the school hunk Xu Mingchen. I realized it long ago. It's just a pity about his foot. Otherwise, who knows if Xu Mingchen could still be the school hunk. What's wrong with his foot? He's good at studying, good-looking, and has such a formidable older sister. He'll definitely do well in the future. The college entrance examination was imminent. Qiao Lingling only returned to Yun City a few days before the college entrance exam. The mother and daughter were both glowing, unlike having just attended a relative's wedding, but more like having won some grand prize outside. The two had changed into new clothes, dressed rather fashionably, especially Li Lilian. She wore an urban woman's outfit despite the hot weather, and even wore a silk scarf, smiling so widely her eyes were barely open. Qiao Lingling still brought back gifts for Qiao Ying conscientiously. Of course, Qiao Ying didn't want them. Forget it. Don't give them to me. So Qiao Lingling kept them herself. Qiao Yi took the gift from his second sister to Qiao Ying's room. Sis, I feel like Mom didn't go to attend a wedding. Qiao Ying, what they went to do has nothing to do with me. Qiao Yi felt something was off, but couldn't pinpoint what. That night when Qiao Yi was decocting medicine, Li Lilian smelled it and went to the kitchen. Hearing this medicine was bought by Qiao Ying for Qiao Yi's foot, Li Lilian scolded and wanted to pour the medicine away. You can't just randomly take medicine. It can cause problems and kill people. Are you trying to get yourself killed? That damned girl is trying to poison you. Qiao's father came out of his room and stopped Li Lilian, explaining, this medicine was specially prescribed at Mingshan Hall in the capital city by older Ming for Qiao Ying. He held up the medicine package, pointing at the Mingshan Hall 3 characters on it. Older Ming would prescribe medicine for her? You must have water in your brain. Even the uneducated Li Lilian knew of older Ming's famous name. She absolutely didn't believe Qiao Ying could have gotten medicine prescribed by older Ming, deciding this must be some fake Mingshan Hall. Big sister went to the capital city. When? But Qiao Lingling noticed this point. Right. When did she go to the capital city? How come I don't know about it? Li Lilian followed up with asking. It was the day after you two left, Qiao's father said. Li Lilian still didn't believe it and refused to let it go, saying Qiao Yi's foot had been crippled for so many years, it couldn't be cured with just some medicine. She insisted on not letting Qiao Yi take the medicine and was about to grab the other package that hadn't been decocted yet to throw away. Little Yi has been taking it for several days now. And isn't he doing well? Qiao's father didn't believe it at first either. But seeing Qiao Yi's spirit clearly better than before these past few days, he let him take it. Although he knew it was impossible for his son's foot to heal, he still wanted to try, even if it only got a little better. In the tussle, medicine spilled all over the floor. Seeing the medicine scattered on the ground, Qiao Yi slowly squatted down and gathered the medicine in his hands. Little Yi. Seeing this, Qiao's father felt heartbroken and quickly squatted down to help pick them up. Qiao Yi looked at the medicine in his hands, then slowly raised his head to look at his mother, gritting his teeth and enunciating each word. Even if this medicine is poison that can kill people today, I will still take it. This medicine costs 6,000 a dose. Do you think I specially went to the capital city to spend tens of thousands just to poison Qiao Yi? No one knew when Qiao Ying appeared in the kitchen doorway, coldly watching everything happening. If Li Lilian wasn't Qiao Ying and Qiao Yi's mother, Qiao Ying would have certainly made her pick up all the medicine off the floor and swallow it alive. When Li Lilian heard that, she went speechless, only mumbling a couple sentences, having so much money, yet giving so little to the family. Hearing Qiao Ying had so much money, Qiao Lingling became even more determined that no one could stop her from getting into a university in the capital. The college entrance examination arrived as scheduled. Qiao Ying went out right on time with her exam stationery, but when she came out, she saw Qiao Yi standing where he waited for her every school day. Qiao Yi was on summer break from high school 3rd grade since the exam was taking place. He wore the clothes Qiao Ying had bought for him, and compared to his lifeless appearance when they first met, he finally had some vibrancy. I'll go to school with you, Qiao Yi said. No need, Qiao Ying felt. I've got nothing else to do at home anyway. Qiao Yi went ahead first as he spoke. In Qiao Yi's eyes, the college entrance exam was a major life event. Other students all had parents and family sending them off, so although he knew the exam posed no pressure whatsoever for Qiao Ying, since he could accompany her, Qiao Yi didn't want her to face it alone. Qiao Ying was assigned to take the exam at her own school. Qiao Yi sent her to the school gate. Qiao Ying arrived a bit late. Qiao Yi urged her to go into the exam venue. Qiao Ying waved at him and leisurely strolled into the school gate. Seeing Qiao Ying's casual attitude, the group of parents at the gate all shook their heads, certain that Qiao Ying must be a poor student who couldn't get into university. The college entrance exam is today? Qin Hanyue, who was about to go to work, suddenly remembered what day it was. Qin Yan responded, Yes, third young master, the college entrance exam is today. He thought to himself, Is boss asking about that girl? The first exam was Chinese. The test papers were handed out, and when the exam time came, Qiao Ying calmly picked up her pen to answer the questions. For a while, the only sound in the entire exam room was the rustling of writing. The exam takers were all scratching their heads and racking their brains, occasionally glancing at the clock, hurriedly writing, and showing desperate expressions. By contrast, Qiao Ying remained composed the entire time, completely detached from the tense atmosphere. It was a stark contrast to the other exam takers. After finishing the last question, she glanced at the essay topic and finally handed in her paper ahead of time under the astonished and disapproving looks of the proctor. As soon as she stepped out of the school gate, Qiao Ying was surrounded by reporters asking for an interview. Qiao Ying bypassed them directly and saw a teenage boy standing under the shade of a tree not far away. When the boy noticed her, he walked over quickly under the blazing sun. Sis, you handed in your paper early? You didn't go back? Qiao Ying looked at his bright red face. No. How did you do on the exam? Was it difficult? It was all right, Qiao Ying said between heavy breaths. Qiao Yi listened and felt relieved, but then Qiao Ying added, I didn't write the essay. You didn't write it? Qiao Yi was dumbfounded. 60 points and you didn't write it? Qiao Yi anxiously said, Only then did he remember that he only knew Qiao Ying was good at math, but had no idea how she did in other subjects. Qiao Yi thought it was over. It won't affect getting into Peking University. Qiao Ying calmly reassured him in a sentence. The total score is 750. Last year Peking University's admission cutoff was 690. Without the essay, you're already missing 60 points, even if you got full marks on everything else and just met the admission cutoff. How is that possible? Why wouldn't it be possible? Qiao Ying lightly rebutted, bringing Qiao Yi to a nice-looking restaurant near the school. Let's eat first. By the time the food was served, the exam time was already up. Large groups of exam takers walked out of the school one after another, and the restaurant quickly filled up. Su Mingchen and his parents also came to the restaurant. Shu's father had reserved a table early. Going upstairs to the second floor, Shu Mingchen immediately caught sight of the Cheo siblings sitting by the window. Mingchen, how was the exam? Shu's father asked caringly. It was a lot more difficult than the last few years' national college entrance exam papers that I've done before, Su Mingchen answered truthfully. The national college entrance exam papers from the previous years, he had done them all. The other students who came to eat also complained to their families that the questions were difficult, looking utterly devastated and under a lot of pressure. The ones with weaker resilience even cried directly. Su's father comforted his son. Don't stress yourself out. Qiao Yi, seeing those exam takers crying and wailing about the difficulty, was even less in the mood to eat. Why didn't you write the essay? He asked Qiao Ying. The Shu family happened to be sitting next to the Qiao siblings. Even though Qiao Yi had lowered his voice, Shu Mingchen still heard it, but he didn't pay much attention to it. Qiao Ying smiled and said, I was too lazy to write that many words, plus the essay required realism, mainly because she had enough points already. Realism? Write about her life as an assassin? Or write about her extravagant leisure time? Or write about Qiao Ying being bullied since she was little? Or how her soul was reborn? At this time, Shu Mingchen glanced at Qiao Ying again, with no other intention, just feeling that Qiao Ying was hopeless. During the exam, he had already seen Qiao Ying leave early after handing in her paper ahead of time. He didn't expect her to have handed in a completely blank essay. You could have just made something up, even poorly written, that's still 20 or 30 points. Do you know high school entrance exam scores are separated by just 1 point for so many students? But I'm no good at making up stories. Qiao Ying smiled. Seeing Qiao Yi with a worried expression, even a little angry, Qiao Ying picked up some food with her chopsticks and placed it in his bowl, saying, If I don't get admitted, I'll take that essay question and go to Peking University. How about that? Hearing Qiao Ying say this, Qiao Yi finally felt reassured. What they didn't know was that Qiao Lingling had already taken the exam in Qiao Ying's place. And hearing Qiao Ying's words, Shu Mingchen couldn't help but glance over again. Yet from beginning to end, Qiao Ying didn't look at him, as if she hadn't even noticed him there. Qiao Yi, on the other hand, shot him a complex look at first. What are you looking at? Hurry up and eat. You can rest after eating. Shu's father picked up some dishes for his son. In the math, science, and English exams that followed, Qiao Ying handed in her papers ahead of time before the allowed time was up, and was the first to leave the exam room each time. Over the past couple days, Qiao Yi had learned from students' cries of distress online that this year's National College entrance exam was the most difficult in nearly 10 years. And seeing Qiao Ying be the first one out every time, Qiao Yi no longer held out hope. Fortunately, Qiao Ying had Peking University's admission quota spot reserved. After finishing the last exam, English Qiao Yi waited at the school gate holding a bouquet of flowers and was asked by reporters if he was there to pick up his girlfriend or classmate. Qiao Yi expressionlessly replied, Picking up my sister. As soon as Qiao Ying came out, she saw Qiao Yi holding the flowers. She had just walked over when Qiao Yi stiffly shoved them in front of her and curtly said, Here. What? Qiao Ying didn't take them, looking at him with an ambiguous smile. Giving them to you. Giving me flowers for what? To celebrate. And everyone else has some. Qiao Yi was extremely awkward, blushing and unnatural. Qiao Ying smiled and didn't tease him further, taking the flowers from him. Thanks. I think this is the first time someone's given me flowers. Qiao Ying mused, then seemed to recall that maybe it wasn't. If she remembered correctly, that brat Ye Si had given her flowers before. Of course, not formally, and not to celebrate anything. Just sometimes at balls, he'd rakishly hand her a red rose. There was never any of this sort of trite gift-giving between them. Qiao Yi pressed his lips together, suppressing the smile at the corners of his mouth. This time, Qiao Ying didn't get away cleanly and was surrounded by some reporters. Excuse me, you handed in your papers early and were the first one out for every subject. Everyone's saying this year's exam was the hardest. What did you think of the difficulty level? Could you tell us a bit about it? Facing the camera, Qiao Ying coolly yet bluntly answered with the truth. Just needed skill. Knowing Qiao Ying was weak in liberal arts and had left the Chinese essay completely blank, Qiao Yi wanted to warn Qiao Ying to be cautious answering. With the internet being so advanced nowadays, if she didn't get ideal scores, it would be easy to get flamed online. Then how many points do you expect to get? What's your ideal university? How have your grades been normally? With grades so good, why didn't you get an admission quota spot? Hearing Qiao Ying's arrogant tone, the reporters all stretched their mics toward her. Qiao Ying frowned slightly, a few traces of icy impatience seeping from her brows and eyes. You're crowding me and ruining the flowers. The reporters were a bit frightened by Qiao Ying's warning look. In the moment they were stunned, Qiao Ying had already left with Qiao Yi. Just as Qiao Yi imagined, good news doesn't travel fast, but bad news does. Qiao Ying's interview video spread wildly online, provoking the intense resentment and denunciation of countless candidates who had suffered setbacks in the exam hall. Passers-by and parents also criticized Qiao Ying for being too arrogant. Informed sources then exposed that Qiao Ying had been the very last in her high school class for all 3 years, and had even cheated on the final math exam last time to get the top grade in the cohort. But the school not only didn't punish her, they even covered it up for her. More and more people claiming to be Qiao Ying's high school classmates from her senior year 3rd class stood up to expose Qiao Ying's past. Some even directly leaked out Qiao Ying's grades this semester, listing all of Qiao Ying's black history. In the end, everyone was waiting for the scores to come out and slap Qiao Ying in the face. And so Qiao Ying became randomly notorious online for a while. Returning home, Qiao Yi was surprised to find Qiao Lingling sleeping at home. He felt confused and was just about to ask Qiao Lingling if she hadn't gone to take the exam when Qiao's father got home from work and called him Little Yi. After a while, Qiao Yi knocked on Qiao Ying's door. Sis, Dad said we're not eating at home tonight. Third uncle invited us to eat at a nice restaurant. When Lingling heard that third uncle who lived in a villa invited them to a big hotel, she immediately got up to dress up and put on a new dress. Didn't Brother Ying buy you new clothes? How come you're wearing these old clothes again? Lingling glanced at Yi in her shabby clothes and wrinkled her nose. Washed, Yi said. You might as well wear your school uniform instead of wearing this. Do you know which hotel third uncle is treating us to? The Grand Cloud Hotel, the best 5-star hotel in Yun City. If you wear that, you won't even get in later. How embarrassing. When Lingling heard the name of the hotel and saw the expectant look on her face, ready to take photos with her phone to post on her social media after eating, Yi didn't bother saying anything more to her. Qiao's father also took out his best clothes to change into, and even spent money to rent a 6-seater taxi. All the way there, Lingling kept looking in the mirror to check her makeup, chattering with Li Lilian about how luxurious the hotel was. Lingling even looked it up online to show her mother. Mom, it says online that even a plate of vegetables in this hotel costs hundreds of yuan. Look at these abalone and lobster. How can vegetables be so expensive? Qiao's father, who was sitting in the front passenger seat, turned his head back in surprise, feeling that this food was not vegetables at all, but pure gold. Ying and Yi sat in the back row. Yi accidentally swiped to Ying's interview video, as well as the very unfriendly comments in the comments section and the various exposes by people claiming to be insiders. Yi nudged Ying next to her with her elbow. Ying took off her headphones and looked at the phone screen Yi handed over. Then Yi said to her in a low voice, "Sis, why don't you delete these videos when we get back tonight?" For Ying, hacking into these devices and deleting a few videos was certainly not difficult. But she was totally indifferent. Why waste time with them? Seeing Ying's attitude, Yi didn't say anything more. When they arrived, before they even got out of the car, Li Lilian had already stuck her head out to look at the luxurious hotel, exclaiming in admiration. Ling Ling straightened her skirt before getting out of the car, suppressing her excitement as she took out her phone to start taking pictures, planning to post them on social media after the meal to show off to her friends. The doorman recognized Ying and Yi and immediately bowed 90 degrees, warmly asking, "Do you have a reservation?" I'm looking for my third younger brother. My third younger brother is treating us." Chow's father was very nervous and stuttered awkwardly. "I see. May I ask your brother's surname?" Kiao Shengxiang. Chow's father spoke in a thick Yun City accent, seeming helpless. "Please come this way." The waiter led them inside. Ling Ling kept taking pictures with her phone and also took a few selfies with her mother in front of the hotel's beautiful decorations per her mother's request. Ying walked slowly behind with her hands in her pockets alongside Yi. They had just walked into the hotel when a luxury car stopped at the entrance. Xu Mingchen and his father got out of the car. Soon after, another $1 million luxury car arrived, and the school belle Ye Jingning got out along with her father Ye. Jingning was elaborately dressed up, looking even more beautiful than at school. She held a handbag, fully embodying the image of a rich young lady. After getting out of the car, she smiled at Mingchen. But Mingchen didn't seem to notice her at all. Yi's father made a beeline for Xu's father, smiling almost obsequiously as he reached out to Xu's father. "Deputy Mayor Xu, you're here so early." "Just arrived." Xu's father briefly shook Yi's father's hand. "It's been a while since we've seen each other, but Mingchen has grown taller again and is still so handsome." Yi's father then looked at Mingchen. "Hello, Uncle Ye." Mingchen politely greeted him. Very good, very good." Yi's father nodded repeatedly. "Mayor Feng had something come up temporarily and will arrive later. Let's go up first. Everyone else is already there." After Xu's father spoke, he told the waiter who came up, "Top floor, room 101, we have a reservation." The group entered the hotel. "Mingchen, how was your exam?" Jingning found an opportunity to sidle up to Mingchen's side. "It was okay." Mingchen was neither cold nor warm in response. "Everyone says it was difficult. I didn't do very well either." "Which university are you planning to apply to?" "Capital University." Hearing Mingchen say he wanted to go to Capital University, Jingning bit her lip. She wished she could chop Ying into thousands of pieces in her heart. If it wasn't for Ying bringing those gangsters to make trouble at school, her grades wouldn't have slipped so much. Then she would have had the chance to go to Capital University together with Mingchen. It was all because of that Ying. The position Kiao's third uncle booked for them was on the first-floor lobby, at a large crystal round table that could seat over 30 people. When the waiter brought Chow's family over, almost everyone had arrived. "Am I late?" Chow's father hurriedly went up to greet his 3 younger brothers. "Yo, big brother, you're here." Chao Shengxiang, who was sitting in the main seat, had a big pot belly. He called Chow's father big brother and welcomed him, but didn't even shift his butt. He pointed to the remaining seats and told Chow's family, "Sit down, the dishes will be served soon." "Sister-in-law is looking quite fashionable today. Looks like you made quite a bit this year." Second aunt looked Li Lilian up and down with her slender painted eyes. "Ah, how can I compare with you all in business with my meager dead-end job salary?" Li Lilian responded politely on the surface, but was cursing inwardly. "Just because you have some stinking money, you show off every day, every day. My daughter has a guaranteed spot in Capital University, and your son, who knows how he did on the exam, and which lousy school he'll go to." Ling Ling was sweet-talking, calling each and every relative at the big table, successfully earning elders' praises. "Look at your cousin, so polite. Just knows how to hug her phone and computer to play all day." Second aunt then scolded her son. Who's this? Third aunt pointed at Ying sitting down and remarked. This is little Ying, Chow's father said. Little Ying, she's so much thinner, I almost didn't recognize her. She looks so pretty after losing weight, even prettier than Lingling. Hearing this, Lingling's smile froze on her face. Little Yi seems to have grown taller again, too. Why didn't you ask them to call me auntie? Second aunt then looked at Yi. Little Ying, little Yi, go ahead and call her auntie. Chow's father told the two girls. Auntie, Yi politely called her. Ying looked towards the so-called second aunt, who was quite far from her. Her lips moved slightly, but the next second she turned her gaze away. When do we eat? Second aunt's expression immediately changed. No manners at all. What are you teaching them at home? As if she's never eaten a meal before. Go easy on her. You know Big Brother's financial conditions aren't good. It's her first time at a luxury hotel like this, eating a meal. The child's never eaten good food before, of course she'd react like this, second uncle said. It was evident that none of the three younger brothers thought much of this big brother. Kiao's father's old face turned red from embarrassment. As a meek person, he didn't know how to retort. He could only lower his head, rub his thighs with both hands, and let out a couple of awkward chuckles. Seeing his father being humiliated, Yi felt awful. He comforted. Dad, don't mind it. Kiao's father looked up at his sensible son, immediately feeling much better. He nodded. Oh, Dad's fine. In the past, Li Lillian could only scold back in her heart at times like this, but this time she no longer endured silently. Instead, she looked at second aunt's son. How did your exam go, little Feng? Your grades have always been excellent. You must have done very well, right? Can get into Capital University. Second uncle's family's faces darkened. Mu Feng, who had been looking down playing on his phone, raised his head, influenced by his parents. As a junior, he had no respect whatsoever for this poor relative of Li Lillian's. He retorted impatiently, Capital University isn't a toilet where anyone who wants to go can get in. Why are you asking this, Auntie? Could it be my cousin got into Capital University? Second aunt gave a disdainful laugh. Everyone present knew about Ying's grades. Barely getting into high school was already grace from the ancestors. With such bad grades and poor family, she'd probably go straight to work in a factory after finishing the exam. Li Lillian slowly adjusted her sitting position and said proudly, I don't know if your eldest sister can get into Peking University, but your second sister said that getting into Peking University is definitely certain. Right, Lingling? If her daughter hadn't repeatedly urged her to keep the guaranteed admission to Peking University a secret, she would have taken this opportunity to talk about it in front of them, to show off and feel proud. Really, Lingling? You can get into Peking University? Chow's father was excited and looked at his daughter in disbelief. For Chow's father, who had been poor for half his life and looked down on even his wife and brothers, his children were his hope, and the grades of his son and second daughter had always been his pride. For a low-level person like him, having a child who could get into Peking University and become successful in the future was the greatest joy. Yes, Dad. I stayed up late doing test papers every day recently. I can do all the questions in this exam. Getting into Peking University is definitely no problem. Qiao Lingling said, and Li Lillian sat up even straighter, feeling prouder than ever in the years since she married into the Chao family. Great. Wonderful. This is fantastic. Chao's father said with wet eyes, too excited to speak properly. Qiao Yi glanced at Qiao Lingling, and Qiao Lingling felt guilty about Qiao Yi's gaze. Is that so? Getting into Peking University is no small feat, third Uncle Qiao Shengshang said with a laugh when he heard. When you really get into Peking University, I'll give you a big red envelope. Thank you, third uncle. Qiao Lingling was secretly delighted to receive third uncle's approval and become the focus of attention. Humph. Big talk is easy when the results are still uncertain. We'll see after the exam results come out. Don't hit yourself in the face and become a joke afterward. Second aunt retorted unpleasantly. She hated seeing Li Lillian so smug, so she immediately fired back. Oh, how is little Yi's foot? With today's advanced medicine, going to a big city might provide a chance to cure it. If he ends up lame for life, how will he find work and get married in the future? Even if he gets into a good university, this foot issue will still hold him back. Qiao Yi, caught completely off guard by the elder's maliciousness, froze and clenched his hands under the table in embarrassment. With just a few words, Second Aunt had succeeded in attacking Li Lilian's sore spot. Before Li Lilian could react, a light yet cold voice spoke up first. If you're so concerned, put your money where your mouth is instead of just paying lip service. Give me 10 or 80,000 to get my brother's foot treated. He'll remember your kindness. 10 or 80,000. You've got quite the nerve, Second Aunt exclaimed. I do have some money, but I still have to support my own family. 30 or 50,000 would work too. Chao Ying persisted without giving in, putting Second Aunt's family in an awkward position. Let alone 30 or 50,000, she wouldn't even give 1,000 to their family. But saying outright that she didn't have the money would be too embarrassing since she was the one who had brought up the topic and offered concern. Second Aunt was rendered speechless for a while. If you can't put up the cash, don't pretend to show concern just to poke at people's weaknesses. Qiao Ying's voice suddenly turned cold. You're old enough to know better than spout such hurtful words. Qiao Ying's words shocked everyone at the table. Qiao's father panicked. Little Ying, you can't speak to your Second Aunt like that. But Li Lilian and Qiao Lingling secretly felt delighted, even though they didn't like Qiao Ying. They still felt a sense of schadenfreude. How dare you speak to your Second Aunt like that? You're completely disrespectful. Second Uncle slammed the table and pointed at Qiao Ying angrily. Sister-in-law, your daughter's taught no manners. Second Aunt was furious. Second Aunt's son Qiao Mufeng scoffed disdainfully. What else can you expect from such a poor upbringing? Qiao Ying had one hand resting casually on the table as she leaned back lazily in her chair, expressionless as she looked at the family of three. A dangerous aura permeated her cold eyes. I'm so sorry, she's just a child who doesn't know any better. Don't take it to heart. Calm down now. Qiao's father quickly stood up and apologized profusely. Just as Qiao Ying was about to do something, Qiao Yi next to her sensed it and hurriedly called out, Sis, what's there to be nervous about? I'm not going to do anything. Qiao Ying laughed and told Qiao Yi, All right, let's just eat. It's rare for all of us to get together like this. Third Uncle Qiao Shengsheng, who held the most authority, stepped in to smooth things over. Even if Second Aunt was unhappy, she could only let it go since her family's business still relied on Qiao Shengxiang's support. More dishes were served one after another. When Qiao Shengxiang's daughter saw Qiao Lingling sneakily taking photos of the dishes with her phone, she snorted contemptuously. Hearing this, Second Aunt noticed Qiao Lingling's actions and quickly moved the dishes in front of her closer to Qiao Lingling. Here, Lingling, take photos of this dish. It looks prettier. Don't eat first. Let our future Peking University student take pictures first. Qiao Lingling's face turned red as she awkwardly put her phone down. Keep taking pictures, don't mind. Second Aunt understands your family's circumstances and your feelings. Being able to eat a meal like this must be a rare treat for you all. No need to feel embarrassed, Second Aunt said. No need, Second Aunt. I was just taking random pictures for fun. Qiao Lingling forced herself to say insincerely, suppressing her embarrassment. She thought, just endure their snide remarks for now. Once she steadily enters Peking University, let's see if they still dare look down on her. It's nothing I haven't eaten before. Just the other day I was at Li Lilian was about to say she ate at an even fancier restaurant with the president of Peking University in Beijing just the other day. But before she could finish speaking, her daughter Qiao Lingling nudged her knee under the table. Li Lilian didn't understand why she had to hide something that wasn't shameful at all but a cause for celebration. However, since her daughter had repeatedly urged discretion, the unsophisticated Li Lilian could only keep quiet. The other day what? Stop pretending to be something you're not. Don't you know your own station? Second Aunt rolled her eyes and turned to Qiao Shengxiang. Third brother, a table like this must have cost a pretty penny, right? This table's about 70 to 80,000. Not bad. Qiao Shengxiang lolled back lazily in his chair, big belly sticking out, exuding an air of wealth. 70,000-80,000? Second Aunt gasped. When Li Lilian heard the figure, she was also shocked. The wine is expensive. 10,000 a bottle. Big brother, have a drink too. Qiao Shengshang had the waiter pour wine for Qiao's father. As soon as the waiter came over, Qiao's father immediately stood up nervously. I can't drink this stuff. No need, no need. You all go ahead. Have a drink. It's not that expensive. Drinking cheap bulk liquor every day, you should try what fine wine tastes like too. Qiao Shengxiang said after downing a few cups himself, still putting on an act. He turned to Qiao's father. Your little Ying is pretty capable. If she can't make it to university in the future, let her come to my company. I'll arrange for her to learn computers for a few days and give her a clerk position, 3,500 a month. Thank you, third brother. Let me toast you. Qiao's father picked up his wine glass and glanced at Qiao Ying, sighing in resignation. Qiao Lingling secretly smiled gleefully to herself. Before Qiao Ying could respond, Qiao Yi stood up first. My sister can get in. Learn computers and become a clerk. 3,500 monthly salary. Qiao Yi really wanted to prove his sister's ability and slap these people hard in the face. What was so impressive about a 70 to 80,000 dinner? His sister had treated him in luxury private rooms much nicer than this, with dishes costing around 100,000 each time, more than once. 10,000 for a bottle of wine? What's unaffordable about that? His sister had tried 50,000 bottles and still found them subpar. The second time, she didn't even finish a few sips of an even more expensive bottle. Seeing his father and eldest sister bullied, Qiao Yi was furious. Qiao Shengshang just laughed without bothering to argue with the child. Qiao, miss, I see your table's wine is finished. We've been keeping the unfinished wine you left last time. Would you like it opened for you? The table of people eating with relish looked up in unison at the sound, only to see a waiter holding a bottle of red wine bent down next to Qiao Ying, speaking to her softly. Everyone stared confused at the scene unfolding before them. Before they could react, another waiter came over with a plate of exquisite pastries and set it in front of Qiao Yi. He then said to Qiao Yi, Mr. Qiao, last time you were here you seemed to quite like this pastry our hotel offers complimentary to VIP guests. Please enjoy. Feeling awkward at being addressed as Mr. Qiao Yi responded, Thank you. Miss Qiao, shall I open this wine for you? The waiter beside Qiao Ying asked again, holding up the wine bottle. You didn't throw it away? Qiao Ying was surprised that they had kept it for her. The handsome waiter in his stylish uniform smiled and said, This wine cost 87,000 yuan. We certainly wouldn't dare throw it away casually for a customer. But the 50,000 yuan red wine you ordered the first time, it's already oxidized and can't be stored anymore, so we could only dispose of it for you. Second aunt looked at the fantastical scene in front of her eyes and pointed at Qiao Ying, asking the waiter, What did you just say? She is your VIP customer? Yes. Little girl, open your eyes wide and take a good look. How could she be your VIP customer here? Are you not fully awake yet, or what? Second aunt couldn't help laughing twice, as if she had just heard a joke. Madam, I won't make a mistake. Miss Qiao is indeed our hotel's VIP. The waiter replied with a smile. Open the wine. Qiao Ying told the waiter to open the wine. All right. The waiter opened the wine and took a wine glass, about to pour for Qiao Ying. Qiao Ying raised her hand to stop him. Qiao Ying took the wine, reached out past Qiao Yi, and placed a barely touched bottle of red wine in front of Qiao's father. She said, After working hard for half of your life, it's time to drink something nice. Qiao Ying didn't drink any herself. It wasn't that she was very filial. She simply found the wine so unpalatable that she didn't even have the urge to wet her lips. What's more, she really couldn't stand the mean faces of these so-called relatives acting all high and mighty. They think of themselves as upper class, but in reality they're just petty clowns. Qiao's father, who was stunned by the waiter's sudden Ms. Qiao, looked at the frighteningly expensive red wine Qiao Ying had placed in front of him and waved his hands in refusal, stammering, Dad won't drink it. He didn't dare touch it at all. How much did the waiter say this wine cost? 87,000. Qiao's father even wondered if the money they used was the same as his. His muddled mind looked at Qiao Ying perplexedly until Qiao Lingling asked the question on his mind for him. Little Yi, have you eaten here before? Qiao Lingling asked. My sister brought me here before. Qiao Yi replied. After a brief pause, he couldn't help adding, we were in a private room upstairs. Just how much money does this damn fatty Qiao Ying have? Brand name clothes, shoes, new phone, new computer, medicine worth tens of thousands, and she even had enough money to eat at a place like this and buy wine worth several thousand. She didn't even finish drinking it and just threw it away. Even the richest third uncle in the family doesn't act like her. The more Qiao Lingling thought about it, the more unpleasant she felt. Oh my, big brother and sister-in-law, where did you strike gold without telling us? You've gotten rich but kept it from your own family. That's not treating us like family at all. Second aunt immediately questioned. We didn't strike gold. What riches could we possibly obtain? It was their children who ate here before. I've never been. Qiao's father answered honestly. The children? Where do these children get so much money? Second aunt glanced at Qiao Ying with narrowed eyes. Youngsters these days, it's fine to be poor, but don't go stealing or doing illegal things that would ruin our reputation too. How funny. When you have money, it's from doing business. But when we have money, it must be from stealing or illegal acts. Why? Are only you allowed to get rich? Are we doomed to be poor for life? Li Lilian's mouth has never suffered losses. She immediately fired back. Sister-in-law, look at my loose mouth. I just don't know how to speak properly. But, big brother and sister-in-law, if you have this opportunity to get rich, why don't you think of your own family? Making money, we should all earn it together. Remember how I even lent money to little Ying before to pay her school fees? Second aunt complained with implications while also trying to take advantage of them. Qiao's father. Well, seeing that Qiao's father was unwilling to speak, second aunt continued, Big brother, of you brothers you're the most decent. Now that you've earned money, you don't even recognize your own brother. That's right, big brother. Qiao's other brothers all chimed in agreement. Qiao's father laughed helplessly and said, I don't have that ability. Little Ying knows how to use the computer and earned money online. It's something for young people that I don't understand. He earned online, huh? Mom, I want to eat that. At this time, second aunt's young son climbed onto the chair and stood up, pointing at the pastry in front of Qiao Yi. Eat what you're eating. Second aunt dismissed him in an annoyed tone. Qiao Yi placed the pastry on the lazy Susan and spun it in front of second aunt's son. The child reached out and started eating it right away. Seeing this, Qiao's father carefully stood up and picked up the frighteningly expensive red wine in front of him. Come, let's drink together. I'll pour for everyone. You brothers are all big businessmen. What kind of wine haven't you drank? Just don't force yourself for our sake. Save it for yourself to drink. Qiao Ying interjected indifferently at this time. Holding the wine, Qiao's father stood there awkwardly. The aunties, upon hearing this, all had expressions like neither their eyes nor noses belonged to them. Especially second aunt. Seeing her son finish one pastry and reach for a second, and also seeing Li Lilian's smug attitude, she directly snatched the pastry her son had just grabbed and threw it back onto the plate. Do I not feed you enough at home? Ungrateful brat, you need to grow up and make something of yourself. Second aunt screeched at her son. The child was only 4 or 5 years old. Having his food snatched and getting yelled at made him immediately burst into loud wails. Second aunt scolded him even more fiercely. The angrier she got, the more second aunt looked towards the eldest brother's family. Big brother, don't blame me for not warning you. Making money online often isn't through proper means. Don't get tricked in the end. I've heard many young girls these days take nude loans, borrowing hundreds of thousands, and also having rich old men sponsor them. Your little Ying better not be taking those dirty paths. Hearing this, Qiao's father immediately worried that Qiao Ying was being scammed online. Qiao Lingling, on the other hand, wished she could put her hands together and pray that Qiao Ying's money was from nude loans. Even nude loans and sponsors need to have the looks for it. Old ladies like you with saggy skin and wrinkled faces, no one would want you even for free. Qiao Ying casually retorted. Having just been angered by second aunt's words, Qiao Yi couldn't help laughing when he heard this. How dare you talk like that? Second aunt slammed the table furiously. So young but learning all the wrong things. proud of taking your clothes off for dirty money, bringing glory to your ancestors for sure. I said you used to be so fat. How did you suddenly transform? Second aunt yelled and shouted, successfully catching Feng Teng's attention. Feng Teng had just entered through the front door and was standing in the lobby, looking at his vexing son loitering outside and clearly reluctant to come in. Hearing the commotion, Feng Teng reflexively glanced over and saw the crude second aunt at a glance. Feng Teng frowned, just about to look away, when he suddenly noticed a familiar face among the crowd at the table. As second aunt's cursing grew more and more vulgar, Li Lilian, who couldn't take it anymore, also stood up and started swearing back. Second aunt's eldest son stood up to defend his mother, pointing at Li Lilian and threatening viciously, "Say one more word about my mom. Just try it." The fire spread to the surroundings. Chow's second brother helped his wife curse at Chao Ying, calling her indecent and insisting she earned dirty money taking her clothes off. Even a rabbit will bite when cornered. The usually honest and decent Chow's father couldn't stand seeing his daughter bullied like this anymore. He slammed the table and shot up. "Little two, watch what you say." Seeing the situation deteriorating, third brother's family and fourth brother's family started trying to mediate. Of course, it goes without saying they naturally took second brother's side, ganging up against the poorer eldest brother's family. Qiao Ying sat expressionlessly in her chair, watching this farcical scene of the Chow family young and old. As second aunt and Li Lilian's cursing grew more and more offensive, the impatience and irritation brewing between Qiao Ying's brows intensified further and further until all her emotions peaked. Right at that moment, an authoritative, middle-aged male voice suddenly broke in. "Oh, if it isn't Ms. Chow." Wearing a fine suit and leather shoes, square-faced features, slightly overweight, glasses, full of political aura that couldn't be suppressed, it was Feng Teng. Feng Teng's appearance instantly diffused the situation with barely any effort, quieting down in just 3 or 4 seconds. The Qiao family, upper and lower, shut their mouths and looked towards Feng Teng. Mayor Feng, Chao Yi was anxious, worried a fight might break out soon and his family would suffer. Seeing Feng Teng come, he instantly felt relieved. "Mayor," Chao's third brother Chao Shenxiang blurted out reflexively. "Mayor?" Second aunt froze, looking between Chao Yi and Feng Teng, wondering if she had misheard. "Qiao classmate, long time no see." Feng Teng was all smiles, warmly shaking Chao Yi's hand and chumming up to him. He glanced around at all the curious, peering eyes, then smiled and said to Chao Ying, "Miss Chao, what a coincidence running into you here eating too. Why eat in the lobby? I booked a private room upstairs." Feng Teng warmly invited Qiao Ying to go upstairs and eat together. "Old Feng, what are you doing? Everyone else is here. We're just waiting for you," Deputy Mayor Xu said as he came downstairs with his son Xu Mingchen to pick someone up. Yi's father eagerly brought his daughter Ye Jingning downstairs with him too. Feng Teng looked back and said to Xu Chao and the others who had walked over, "I just got here and happened to run into acquaintances, so I came over to say hello first." Before he had gotten close, Xu Mingchen had already noticed Chao Ying. It was probably because Feng Teng was standing too close to her, making her too conspicuous. And when Ye Jingning saw the person sitting in the chair, the faint smile that had been on her face the whole time cracked open. She frowned, puzzled as to why Qiao Ying would be here. Also, what did Mayor Feng mean by acquaintances? Who? Qiao Ying. Lilian directly asked her son, "Xiao Yi, what did you call him?" "Miss Qiao." Ye Jingning almost cried out, quickly pressing her lips together. She looked at Chao Ying again, thinking that what kind of miss could Chao Ying be? Mayor Feng must have mistaken her for someone else. But she quickly recalled the rumors at school. Could Qiao Ying really have some background? Zhu Mingchen was also extremely surprised as he looked at Qiao Ying. Feng Teng's form of address and the respect in his tone made Xu Chao look at Chao Ying solemnly. "Miss Qiao?" In his memory, there were no high officials or corporate leaders surnamed Qiao in Yuncheng. Even if there were, it wouldn't be enough to make the dignified Mayor Feng Teng be so respectful. Maybe she wasn't from their Yuncheng. Nice to meet you, I'm Shu Chao. Shu Chao reached out to Qiao Ying. When facing a girl about the same age as his son, Shu Chao still did not dare to be negligent. However, the usually unconstrained Qiao Ying was not in a good mood at this moment, and naturally would not pay any attention. Miss Qiao doesn't like physical contact with others, Feng Teng explained. I was being presumptuous and did not consider carefully enough. Shu Chao was not bothered. After all, for him to directly want to shake hands with a young girl was indeed inappropriate. Besides, given the attitude Feng Teng had towards her identity, it was normal for her to ignore him, the deputy mayor. Miss Qiao, shall we go upstairs to eat? Feng Teng invited again. At this moment, someone suddenly cried out in surprise. Chairman Ye, Qiao Shengxiang, the third son of the Qiao family, suddenly recognized Ye Jingning's father standing behind Feng Teng's group, so he hurriedly got out of his seat and jogged over to Ye Jingning's father. Oh my, it really is Chairman Ye. Ye Jingning's father looked at Qiao Shengxiang, who was eager and intimate like he had seen his own father, and had not reacted when Qiao Shengxiang grabbed his hand. Yi Jingning's father was forced to shake hands with the other party and asked, "You are?" "I'm Qiao Shengxiang, the boss of Chengxiang Stone Material Factory. The materials used for the renovation of your hotel were delivered by me, Chairman Ye." "Oh, Boss Qiao," Ye Jingning's father seemed to remember that there was such a person. "You flatter me too much by calling me boss, Chairman Ye. Just calling me Shengxiang is fine." Qiao Shengxiang was respectful and uneasy, overjoyed. "Chairman Ye, you haven't eaten yet, right? Let me treat you. Let me invite you upstairs to eat." Qiao Shengxiang pulled Ye Jingning's father and wanted to go upstairs. "No, no, no. I came with Mayor Feng and Deputy Mayor Xu today. We'll do it another day, another day." Ye Jingning's father had put in a lot of effort to get into this dinner. How could he bother with some stone factory boss? If it wasn't for seeing Qiao Shengxiang and the Miss Qiao that Feng Teng mentioned at the same table, he wouldn't have been so polite to Qiao Shengxiang. "Mayor, deputy mayor." Qiao Shengxiang was confused. He looked at Feng Teng and asked uncertainly, "Chairman Ye, you mean this gentleman is our mayor?" "Mayor?" The Qiao family members couldn't help but softly cry out, looking back and forth between Feng Teng and Shu Chao, at a loss as to what to do. "Hello, everyone." Mayor Feng greeted the big table of people in a timely manner. Shu Chao's father also nodded along. After the greeting, Feng Teng lowered his head slightly and asked, "Miss Qiao they are?" He couldn't ignore this table of people anymore. We are Xiao Ying's family. I'm Xiao Ying's aunt." Aunt reacted quickly and immediately walked out a few steps to introduce herself. "I'm Xiao Ying's uncle," Qiao Shengxiang also quickly said, no longer sitting arrogantly at the main seat. "Mayor, I'm Xiao Ying's second uncle, and these are Xiao Ying's two younger brothers." Second uncle pointed at his two sons. For a while, the whole family scrambled forward, afraid of being left out. "Very good. Nice to meet you all," before Feng Teng could get acquainted with Qiao Ying's large, extended family. But he heard Qiao Ying, who had not spoken, say indifferently, "I'm not close with them." Qiao Ying slowly stood up, too lazy to even look at their faces. "I can't afford these wealthy relatives. Mayor Feng, don't mind them." Qiao Ying's words successfully left the Qiao family embarrassed where they stood. Feng Teng understood when he saw this. He had checked Qiao Ying's background. She had never left Jiangxia district since she was little. Her parents were the lowest level workers, her younger brother was disabled, and her ancestors 3 generations back were migrant workers. No matter how he guessed, he couldn't figure out how a girl with such an ordinary background could be related to the prominent Qin family in the capital. Moreover, their relationship was not shallow. "Xiao Ying, Auntie was wrong just now. I shouldn't have said that about you. Don't be angry with Auntie. A family that quarrels noisily like this is very normal, right? How could there really be any deep hatred?" Auntie immediately walked up, intimately trying to pull Qiao Ying's hand, only to be stopped by a cold look from Qiao Ying. "Yes, Xiao Ying, Uncle was also wrong just now. Uncle apologizes to you. And brother, I really owe you an apology just now." "Oh, so you all know how to turn your faces. and now you know how to speak nicely. Weren't you just ganging up to bully my family just now? Looking at their faces, Li Lillian felt an unprecedented sense of relief and comfort that she had never felt before. Sister-in-law, don't say that. Auntie was capable of bending and stretching. Her skin was thick to a certain extent that her attitude took a 180-degree turn immediately, without even needing a buffer. Feng Teng thought to himself, Miss Kiao really is from the same family as these people. They really don't seem alike, from temperament to personality. Dad, are we eating this meal or not? If not, I'm going home. Feng Wenzhong had been standing in the lobby for a while now. Seeing that his dad was endlessly making small talk with others and seemingly deaf to his words, he had no choice but to impatiently walk over. From afar, he saw Xu Mingchen and flipped his middle finger at Xu Mingchen's pretentious back as he walked over. Everything about this guy is unpleasant. Hearing Feng Wenzhong's voice, Xu Mingchen instinctively turned his head to look, then quickly turned his head back. This glance made Feng Wenzhong criticize him even more harshly in his heart. Feng Wenzhong walked over and said to his dad, Dad, if you're not eating, I'm going home to sleep. Feng Teng was annoyed with his troublesome son. Can't you see I'm busy here? Go upstairs and wait for me first. Feng Wenzhong, I'm not eating anymore. I'm going home. Huh? Feng Wenzhong suddenly saw someone. You? Before Feng Teng could kick his son, he saw his son suddenly staring at Qiao Ying. Huh? You? Feng Wenzhong pointed at Qiao Ying. Why do you look so familiar? Stinky boy, put your hand down. This is Miss Qiao. Don't be rude. Feng Teng was so angry that he directly slapped his son's hand down. Miss Qiao. Qiao Ying. Feng Wenzhong stared wide-eyed, unable to control his hand as he pointed at Qiao Ying again, as if seeing a ghost. It's you. Damn, it really is you. Why did you get so much thinner? You know, Miss Qiao, hearing that his son knew Qiao Ying, Feng Teng couldn't be bothered to hit his son's hand anymore. Know her. Of course I know her. Feng Wenzhong was agitated. The person young Master Huo asked me to find was her. Really? When Feng Teng heard this, his respect for Qiao Ying increased a few more points in his heart. Aren't you at Nober 7 Middle School? I went to look for you at Nober 7 Middle School more than 10 times, but didn't find you even once. Feng Wenzhong felt complicated emotions churning in his heart after having run over there in vain more than 10 times. Are you really at Nober 7 Middle School? How come young Master Huo said he saw you in Beijing a few days ago? Who is this young Master Huo again? Shu's father wondered. What was this girl's background? Qiao Ying ignored Feng Wenzhong and said to Feng Teng, Mayor Feng, I won't be eating this meal. I'll treat you next time when I'm free. After speaking, she was about to leave. Her foot had just moved when Qiao Ying suddenly smiled and looked at Ye Jingning's father. You are Chairperson Ye, right? I am. The suddenly addressed chairperson Ye hurriedly responded. Qiao Ying, when doing business with others, you have to be vigilant, or you could easily be backstabbed if your partner's character is questionable. Third uncle's heart thumped, and his expression changed drastically. Miss Qiao is right. How could Chairperson Ye not understand Qiao Ying's implication? He was very willing to go with the flow and sell Feng Teng this favor. After Qiao Ying finished speaking, she left. Qiao Yi hurried to catch up. Hey, don't go. I haven't finished speaking yet. Feng Wenzhong was about to chase after her but was stopped by his father. Then Feng Teng went after her himself. Miss Qiao, let me walk you out. Chairperson Ye, when you're free, how about I treat you to a meal? Qiao Shangshang smiled obsequiously as he tentatively said to Chairperson Ye. But the other party rejected him coldly. No need. Qiao Shangxiang's heart sank as he started to panic. Chairperson Ye. But the other party completely ignored him and left with his daughter to look for Feng Teng. Xiu's father also called his son, Xu Mingchen, to leave together. This left the blank-minded Qiao family standing in place. After a long time, Qiao's father said in a daze, Little Ying knows our mayor. After sending the guests out, the group went upstairs. Dad, why did you stop me just now? I finally found her. I hadn't even finished speaking yet. In the elevator, Feng Wenzong complained dissatisfiedly to his father. "I'll tell you when we get home. I'll tell you when we get home." Feng Teng whispered as he secretly patted his son's hand. "I have Miss Kiao's contact information. I'll give it to you when we get home, and you can give it to young Master Huo." "Really?" When Feng Wenzong heard this, his anger dissipated. "Dad, why did you call her Miss Chow? Do you know her too?" "I'll tell you when we get home. I'll tell you when we get home." Feng Teng signaled his son with his eyes. Seeing Feng Teng being all secretive, Shu's father couldn't help but ask, "Old Feng, what's the story with that Miss Chow?" Feng Teng just laughed. "You don't recognize her." Zhu's father wasn't so easily dismissed. He laughed along. "You didn't say how you knew I don't recognize her. What? Are you hiding this from me too?" Feng Teng had no choice but to act mysteriously. "That Miss Kiao." He waved his hand. I dare not discuss. I dare not discuss." Feng Teng didn't want to share something so good with others. Not daring to discuss. Which president's daughter could it be? By saying this, Feng Teng made people even more curious. Mingchen just said that Miss Kiao is from number 7 middle school. Mingchen, have you seen her at your school before? Shu's father immediately asked his son. Zhu Mingchen, who was at a loss as to how to answer, was saved when the elevator dinged open at that moment. A simple dinner party now left several people lost in their own thoughts because of a mysteriously backgrounded Chao Ying. The moment they got in the car after the dinner ended, Shu's father continued to ask about Kiao Ying. When he asked his son again about his relationship with Kiao Ying, Shu Mingchen, who had always detested Kiao Ying and even seen being pursued by her as an embarrassment, no longer reacted with the same reluctance to speak of it as before. He said, She used to bring me breakfast." Zhu's father's eyes lit up. "Does that girl like you?" That was all in the past. She's different now than she was before. After saying the second half of this sentence, Shu Mingchen felt inexplicably downhearted without realizing it himself. At the same time, he also slowly started recalling Kiao Ying's changes. So what? Feeling during one's school days are the purest and also the hardest to let go of and forget. She must still have feelings for you. If it had been anyone else saying before that Chao Ying still liked him, Shu Mingchen would have definitely reacted with a "how boring." But now, not only did Shu Mingchen not have an averse reaction, he even took his father's words to heart, and his heart even rose with anticipation. Let's not talk about what kind of background that girl has. Just looking at her looks, she's quite a beauty. Go home and contact her later. Ask what school she's applying to. Even if you don't end up at the same one, with your high school classmate relationship, plus you're both from Yuncheng, the relationship will definitely develop further, since you're also such an outstanding son of mine. Zhu's father spoke very clearly, telling his son Shu Mingchen to pursue Kiao Ying. Although Shu's father didn't know why Feng Teng treated Chao Ying that way and couldn't guess at the relationship behind it, he did know about the mighty and powerful Huo family in Beijing that his son had mentioned. It was the same situation on Yi Jingning's side. The moment they got in the car, she was bombarded with questions from her father, asking if she knew Chao Ying and telling her to find a way to befriend Chao Ying and become besties. Listening to her father address Kiao Ying as Miss Chao over and over, Ye Jingning felt irritated. Unable to endure it, she directly said, "Dad, stop talking. It was this Miss Chow who brought gangsters to school and caused me to end up like this." Her father, who had been rambling on and guessing Chao Ying's identity, was stunned when he heard this. On Feng Teng's side, he learned from his son about the relationship between Kiao Ying and Huo Chengdong. Knowing his son's caliber well, Feng Teng didn't dare have his son pursue Chao Ying, but told him to find a way to connect with Chao Ying. He guessed that Chao Ying would definitely attend university in Beijing. He had to find a way, even if it meant selling the family fortune, to send his son to university in Beijing. Even if it was some third-rate university there. After eating her fill with Chao Ying, Chao Yi headed home under the moonlight and cool breeze. Seeing that Kiao Ying seemed to be in a slightly better mood, Kiao Yi couldn't help but ask, "Sis, was that Mayor Feng's son just now? How does he know you two? And who's that young Master Huo he mentioned?" Someone insignificant. Oh, has there been any change or feeling in your legs recently? Chao Ying asked. Yes, it feels like I can exert force now. Chao Yi immediately said, hope glimmering in his eyes. Soak your feet after taking your medicine when you get home. I'll give you acupuncture after you're done soaking, Chao Ying said. Acupuncture? You mean acupuncture therapy? Sis, you know acupuncture? Chao Yi's eyes widened. By the time Qiao Yi finished his medicine and soaking his feet, it was already 10 o'clock. Qiao Yi had just dried his feet when Qiao Ying pushed open his door and walked in, holding a small cloth bundle and a piece of paper that seemed to have something drawn on it. Qiao Ying put the paper aside and opened the acupuncture kit in her hand. Seeing the rows of slender silver needles inside, Qiao Yi couldn't help feeling nervous. Do I lie down? Even though he had no idea when Chao Ying had learned acupuncture, Chao Yi still unconditionally believed in her. Sitting will do. Roll up your pant legs. I'll teach you later, and you can learn to prick yourself. Once you've learned, you can self-administer. Chao Ying said as she crouched down. Will this process take very long? Chao Yi wondered if he would have to prick himself for 2 to 3 years, which was why Chao Ying wanted him to learn. But Chao Ying said, I have something to do and need to go out for a bit. Leaving tomorrow, quite far. Where are you going? When will you be back? Somewhere you don't know. Can't say for sure when I'll be back. Summer break is so long, I can't just stay home and waste it. As Chao Ying spoke, she pinched a needle. I'm starting. Relax, don't be nervous. It won't hurt. Even if it hurts, I'm not afraid, Chao Yi said. Chao Ying began the acupuncture session. Her technique was skilled and effortless as always, carrying a casual ease unlike those bearded old Chinese medicine practitioners. No matter how one looked at it, she didn't seem like someone who knew acupuncture. As Chao Ying administered the needles, she explained to Chao Yi the name and location of each acupoint and the technique and depth for needling each point. The level of pain Qiao Ying could endure was clearly beyond what ordinary people could comprehend. Qiao Yi was in so much pain that beads of sweat began to form on his temples. This pain was not the slight pricking sensation of needles, but the deep, bone-wrenching kind. Qiao Yi gritted his teeth and endured it, phone in hand, taking notes and recordings, from the initial nervousness to the growing sense of hope later on. After one foot had been needled to resemble a porcupine, Qiao Ying stood up and handed him the paper she had just drawn on. This is an acupoint map I just sketched. Qiao Yi took it, incredulous, and asked between heavy breaths, Sis, how are you so amazing? You even know acupuncture. Qiao Ying, remember it well. Ask me later if you don't understand anything. Don't just stick needles in randomly. Got it. Half an hour later, Qiao Ying started removing the needles. The order and timing for removing needles should match insertion. Don't mess it up. Qiao Yi listened attentively. After giving all necessary instructions, Qiao Ying returned to her room. She turned on her computer and found an encrypted message from someone. It was from Yi Sai. Yi Sai, baby, I'm back in the country. Can I see you? Qiao Ying typed back slowly with one hand, probably because she had told Ye Si earlier that it was inconvenient to meet. What a coincidence, I'm leaving for M Continent tomorrow. Yi Sai, the annual gladiator competition? Are you sure you can just swagger in like that, baby? Should I remind you that you blew up the Gods Armed Alliance headquarters last time? Qiao Ying, why not? Yi Sai, should I go with you or see you in M Continent? Qiao Ying, you're coming. After making plans to meet Yi Sai in M Continent, Qiao Ying packed a black backpack lightly and set off the next day. Right after Qiao Ying left, Li Lilian came knocking on her door with breakfast in hand, calling her good daughter with a smile plastered on her face. After knocking for a long time without any response, Li Lilian gently advised her to remember to eat breakfast when she got up later. She acted just like a caring mother, which made Chao Lingling in the next room gnash her teeth and cover her ears. Lilian was about to go to work when Chao Ying's brothers arrived with their wives and children holding large and small gifts. The younger brothers and sisters-in-law called their elder brother and sister-in-law affectionately. Third brother Qiao Shengxiang was very generous and had bought a lot of expensive gifts. Qiao Lingling looked at the beautiful dress and red envelope from third uncle, and then at the big red envelope third uncle had prepared for Qiao Ying. She felt stifled for some reason and couldn't feel happy. Qiao's father valued relationships and was softened by his younger brother's sincere apologies. He said the matter from last night was in the past, and they should still be one family. Seeing that Big Brother was no longer angry, Qiao Shengxiang was overjoyed and quickly asked, "By the way, is Xiaoying at home?" But Li Lilian wasn't as easy to deal with as Qiao's father. She immediately put on an attitude, "My precious daughter is still sleeping in her room. Then I'll sit here and wait for her to get up so I can apologize to my niece properly as her uncle," said Qiao Shengxiang. So Qiao's brothers waited, but the person didn't get up even until noon. So the group came again the next day. This time, they were in a panic, as if someone was about to die. The sisters-in-law were even crying. When Qiao's father asked, he found out that something had gone wrong with Qiao Shengxiang's stone material factory. That Yidong they met at the hotel had canceled all his orders. Then more and more clients started canceling too. Just like that, the business was bust. Without thinking, they knew it was all because of Qiao Ying. But still, they couldn't meet Qiao Ying this time. "My sister went out. Don't come again. She won't care about you all or accept your gifts," said Qiao Yi when he came home from school. Then he went back to his room. When Qiao's brothers heard this, it was like the sky had fallen. Second aunt's family just worked at third uncle's in the end, and fourth uncle's family also relied on third uncle for money. If third uncle went down, they would all be finished. Meanwhile, Qiao Ying had arrived safely in M Continent. After leaving the airport, she took a taxi to the hotel she had booked. At night, gunshots broke the quiet. Qiao Ying paced to the window and leaned on the sill, looking down at the lively street below. Screams, shouts, various languages mixed together. There seemed to be something throbbing in Qiao Ying's cold eyes. Then it slowly came alive. In this bloody atmosphere, she regained the long-lost feeling in her heart and felt comfortable all over. The whole night, this area was not very quiet. This was the northwest of M Continent, not Qiao Ying's final destination yet. The place she wanted to go was even more chaotic and lawless. Qiao Ying was in no hurry to go there. She stayed at the hotel for 2 days before leaving on the third day. Hearing where Qiao Ying wanted to go, the thick-lipped black driver refused to take her there. Only after Qiao Ying paid him double did he risk driving her to the hotel she wanted. He kindly advised Qiao Ying to leave early before parting ways. Qiao Ying swung her bag over her shoulder and fluently thanked him in American English. She was in a good mood. At the front desk checking in, she ran into a few tall, muscular men of different skin colors who were also checking in. The leader was a Chinese man with yellow skin and black eyes. They wore mercenary combat uniforms with guns around their waists and were injured with obvious bloodstains, looking as if they had just been through a fierce battle. Damn it. Now even those unorganized scums dare to bully us. A blue-eyed blonde mercenary licked the blood from the corner of his mouth and spat viciously on the ground. Another black mercenary snorted coldly in his native language. "Our boss died. Now aren't we also unorganized loose cargo?" The leading Chinese mercenary Bai Xiao turned around and grabbed the black man's collar aggressively. "Shut your mouth, Betaman." Betaman was furious. Without thinking, he grabbed Bai Xiao's collar too, emotionally shouting, "Did I say anything wrong? Isn't our boss dead? If she's not dead, you tell her to come out." "I've long looked down on you, Bai Xiao. Since the boss is dead anyway, let's just fight and go our separate ways. Come on. Enough. Haven't we been bullied enough already? Now you want to fight within the group too?" The other mercenaries came to pull them apart. Bai Xiao gritted his teeth and silently let Betaman go. Betaman staggered back several steps. At this time, Bai Xiao said in a low voice, "I will get first place at the gladiator competition in 10 days. Those who are willing to follow me then can do so. Those who are not can join other mercenary groups or surrender to God's armed alliance. Up to you." When Bai Xiao said this, the others looked at him in disbelief. Participating in the gladiator competition and getting first place would prove his ability and let him qualify to become their new leader. Bai Xiao was indirectly acknowledging the fact that their boss was dead. "With your ability, you want to become boss? I, Beta Man, will never obey you. I'd rather be a lone soldier." Beta Man left those words and stormed out of the hotel, ignoring his companion's shouts. Bai Xiao gritted his teeth and endured in silence. Qiao Ying watched this scene. She thought it seemed like her men didn't have an easy time in the year plus since she left M Continent. Bai Xiao sensed something as he was composing himself to check in. He turned to look at the girl who had been standing there, witnessing their argument all this while. The girl was indeed watching him. What Bai Xiao didn't expect was that when he looked over, not only did the girl not avoid his gaze, she even smiled faintly at him. Bai Xiao was stunned. By the time he recovered, the girl had already headed for the elevator. Bai Xiao watched her figure, with that vague smile of the girl in his mind. It gave him an indescribable sense of familiarity. Late at night, Qiao Ying stood by the window overlooking the magnificent, majestic palace-like buildings in the distance. That was the headquarters of God's armed alliance that Bai Xiao had mentioned earlier. This was the border of M Continent, an ungoverned territory. Organized and unorganized mercenaries, bounty hunters, fugitives, and international wanted criminals could be seen everywhere. Criminals were ordinary people here. This was heaven and hell for villains. But there were rules here too. God's armed alliance was the largest, best equipped, had the most mercenaries and highest authority mercenary organization here. The real boss behind God's armed alliance was the king of M Continent. Qiao Ying's eyes narrowed slightly as she looked intently at the brightly lit building in the distance, murmuring to herself, "Fixed up, God's army, the feared powerhouse in M Continent that no one dared provoke, had been destroyed halfway with 10 kilograms of TNT. It had shocked the entire M Continent. At the time, it had been broad daylight." Qiao Ying couldn't help but think, could it be that God's army had found out that she was the one who blew up their headquarters? Beijing, Qin family. Qin Yan knocked on the study door. "Boss, M Continent has been more chaotic than usual this year, with an influx of desperados from Southeast Asia. Yesterday, even our goods were robbed. Don't you need to go take care of it?" Qin Han looked at the documents in his hand. "The gladiator competition is about to start." Qin Yan, "Yes, there are 10 more days. It will probably be more exciting than previous years." Qin Han closed the documents, looked up, and after a moment said, "Ask Yukin if he's going or not." Qin Yan, "Yes." After leaving the hotel, Betaman hadn't come back. Worried, Bai Xiao called some companions to go look for him. Fortunately, the man was fine. After resting at the hotel for 2 days, Bai Xiao's wallet had run empty, and he couldn't even afford the room fee. Relying on his long-standing connections, Bai Xiao received another escort job and immediately set off with his companions. In the elevator, they ran into a girl. The girl was a little chubby, but had fair skin and delicate features. The composure and nonchalance the girl exuded attracted more than a few glances. It was the same girl who had randomly smiled at him when checking in a few days ago. What also caught Bai Xiao's attention was that, like him, the girl was an Asian with black hair and eyes. She might even be Chinese. If the goods get robbed again this time, we Blackwater mercenary group might as well pack up and become farmers anyway. I won't have the face to stay in M Continent anymore. Say something more positive, mate. Betaman then said, "After this mission, I'm leaving Blackwater." The elevator door opened and Betaman walked out first. Qiao Ying stood in the corner of the elevator, watching as the group left. Just before the elevator doors closed, Qiao Ying stuck out her foot to stop it, then walked out of the elevator. This time, the goods exceeded the budget, so Bai Xiao's group was short on manpower. They wanted to send more backup, but there was no time. Hiring extra local help required funds they didn't have. They could only proceed with gritted teeth. Fortunately, the journey wasn't far, just an 8-hour drive. For safety reasons, they decided to floor the gas without any stops, taking obscure side roads. With 7 trucks, they had exactly 7 people, 1 per truck, with no spare manpower. But even with their careful precautions, something still happened. The lead truck driven by Bai Xiao suddenly had a flat tire, forcing all the trucks behind to stop. Bai Xiao got out to check, telling the others to stay in their trucks. After the number of incidents this year, Bai Xiao's group was on high alert towards any movement. Before Bai Xiao could inspect the situation, over 20 armed mercenaries emerged from the bushes, instantly surrounding them. Outnumbered, Bai Xiao's mere 7 men had no chance to resist. With guns pointed at them, they were forced out of their trucks. Watching their goods get robbed again, after a year of suppression, Betaman lost his patience. With his hands clasped behind his head, he suddenly lashed out, yanking a mercenary climbing into a driver's seat out of the truck and punching him square in the face, before spinning around to punch the man next to him. Reacting quickly, Bai Xiao grabbed the long barrel of a nearby gun and yanked its owner stumbling forward, before kicking the back of the man's knees. War erupted instantaneously. Chaos ensued. Bai Xiao's group were elites among mercenaries comparable to God's army's top forces. But they were still outnumbered. In the end, Bai Xiao's group were beaten down, with Betaman shot in the leg, seriously wounded. The leader of the mercenaries stepped on Betaman's injured leg, arrogantly jeering. "If not for the damned rules set by the God's Army Alliance, I'd have blown your brains out," trash barely clinging onto life. As Bai Xiao's group seethed helplessly, the mercenaries swaggered away with their loot. After the mercenaries left, White Xiao struggled up from the ground, battered all over. He looked at the shot Betaman, telling another companion, "You take Betaman back. The rest of us will find people and get our stuff back." With their goods constantly being robbed, they had no money left to compensate. This time, even if it cost their lives, they had to take their goods back. Betaman shoved away the companion trying to support him, eyes filled with killing intent. "I'm going with you guys." "Now's not the time for bravado," Bai Xiao yelled angrily. "I'd rather die fighting them." Betaman was determined to go. As the argument raged, the sound of engines suddenly grew louder. Looking up, they saw the familiar trucks approaching them. Bai Xiao's group instantly tensed up in alarm. What more did these people want to do? Bai Xiao tightened his grip on the combat knife in his hand. Before they could react, the incensed Betaman charged forward, hell-bent on a fight to the death. His companions desperately held him back. As the trucks neared, the passenger door of the first truck opened, and the person who jumped out left Bai Xiao's battle-ready group momentarily stunned. It was the girl. Before they could think much, the person who exited the driver's seat next left them gawking in shock once more. They saw the mercenary leader who had arrogantly crushed Betaman's leg, robbed their goods and swaggered off, now covered in injuries as he tumbled out of the truck. Not just the mercenary leader, but the rest emerging from the trailing trucks, were all battered and bruised, supporting each other as they limped forward wretchedly. The previously brazen group now looked at them sheepishly. Bai Xiao stared blankly at the scene, stupefied. "What are you standing around for? Hurry up and get ready to move out." Snapping back to his senses, Bai Xiao saw the girl who had appeared by his side somehow, speaking to him. "You." Bai Xiao's lips moved, but no sound came out for several seconds before he finally asked, "You're Chinese?" Realizing he had asked the wrong thing, Bai Xiao immediately followed up. "Who are you? Why are you here? What's going on with the goods and these people?" "I heard your leader died, and the great Blackwater mercenary group was left leaderless. Consider this a show of sincerity." Chao Ying's tone was breezy as she cocked her chin lightly at the miserable crew. Before Bai Xiao could respond, the blonde, green-eyed sack who understood Chinese cut in. "What do you mean? You want to become our leader?" Chao Ying's brow quirked slightly. "Not qualified enough?"